This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate first part of what if kid Naruto was blessed by Azulongmon. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And for more exclusive and spicy content, follow me on Patreon. Link is in the description below. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, approached the child who had been left on the ground with regret in his heart. With his heart as heavy as his master's, Jiraiya walked beside him. Jiraiya said, "So, he is dead." Sarutobi gave a nod. "Yes, but what matters most is that his son is still alive." Jiraiya gave a nod. "Yes, but hold on, there's a problem." Sarutobi turned, and sure enough, something was wrong. Naruto was encased in a thick red chakra bubble that made him invisible to everyone around him. Jiraiya, what the devil is happening? The child should only receive a small amount of Kyuubi's chakra from the seal, right? Sarutobi questioned in terror. Jiraiya's expression changed to one of shock at that point. This is a very small amount. Consider this. We're discussing the Kyuubi. The chakra was probably too much, and even though the seal's distributing portion is functioning properly, the sheer volume of it prevents it from filtering. They watched in silent wonder as the bubble faded and the baby fell to the ground, but he was no longer human. His eyes were pure red, but it was clear that they were curious and joyful rather than angry or hateful. His human ears had vanished and had been replaced by two on top of his head, and one blood-red tail swished back and forth in his back. Both men stood in disbelief, knowing that being a Jinchuriki was bad enough and that many people would try to hurt him, but now that he was half Kitsune, he would be absolutely despised. He merely hoped that the village would be more humane than they were hoping, but Sarutobi took him there and sent Jiraiya to use his spy network to gather information. Author style. Kai flashback no jutsu. I suppose not. However, Naruto was as cunning as a fox, shouting inside as he ran toward the Hyuga compound. Hyuga haters. The street is full of Hyuga haters. Even though they didn't recognize the voice, the Hyugas reacted right away, flooding the street and shouting at the crowd, who fled in terror upon seeing the wall of enraged Hyugas. As he continued to sprint in the direction of the Hokage Tower, Naruto laughed. Inside the digital realm. Observing Naruto's universe, and Naruto specifically, Azulongmon chuckled at the child's behavior and how he had distracted attention from himself. His tricks and how he avoided trouble were amazing and amusing to watch, and he thought, could it be? He then proceeded to a pile of papers with the words, "Tamer requests," written on them. He took one of the sheets and read it. To Azulongmon, please. I'm a yellow Vixamon with type data and element holy, and I need a tamer. My needs are as follows. 1. He is able to improvise and think quickly. 2. He is capable of fighting and surviving. 3. Is diligent. I appreciate your time. Then he picked up another piece of paper and read it. To Azulongmon, my requirements are as follows. I am a purple Vixamon, element dark, virus type, and I would like a tamer. 1. He is capable of causing chaos and mischief due to his evil mind. 2. He is capable of fighting and surviving. 3. Is diligent. I appreciate your time. He took one last piece of paper and read it. To Azulongmon, I'm a blue Vixamon, type vaccine, element ice, aquatic, and I need a tamer. My needs are as follows. 1. He is courageous and has a daring attitude. 2. He is capable of fighting and surviving. 3. Is diligent. I appreciate your time. After looking at the papers, he turned to face Naruto. He is intelligent, as I could see from the way he gets out of trouble, and if his antics are any indication, he has a cunning mind. He is also quite bold, as he continues to pull off amazing stunts despite the villagers' hatred of him. I'll call this 3 here. Maybe it's time this Naruto had some luck in life. With the third Hokage, that is. I really need something to distract me from this. Sarutobi was citing. The paperwork was slowly killing him. He was almost certain that the council had poisoned the paperwork because he felt weakening and losing his will as he handled paper after paper. Hey Oji-san. Naruto shouted as he came in the window of the office. Sarutobi's only thought was to thank Kami for Naruto. Good to see you, boy, Naruto. However, why are you coming in through the window? As Naruto walked around the table where we worked, Sarutobi asked, only seeing his tail. Naruto could walk on all fours just as easily as he could on 2 legs, but he preferred to do so because it allowed him to run more quickly. I was denied entry by the woman in the front. Naruto sadly replied. She said that demons were not allowed to see the Hokage. Sarutobi's eyes glowed evilly. She said that, huh? When Naruto nodded, Sarutobi pressed a button. Marie, you've been fired. Now, I think it's time to say happy birthday, Naruto, he said, pausing his button pressing and turning to face Naruto. Thank you, Oji-san, Naruto screamed. So, Naruto, what do you want? You can ask for anything you want because it's your birthday today. I want to wear that, just a little bit, Naruto said, gesturing to the Hokage's hat. Am I allowed to, Oji-san? Why did you want to wear the hat, Naruto? It was funny how he would struggle with his ears so the hat would fit. Shocked, but agreeing, Sarutobi took the hat and placed it on Naruto's head. Because I will actually be the one wearing it one day. I'm going to be the greatest Hokage ever. Naruto grinned at Sarutobi. It's true. Very well, I believe you, boy, laughed Sarutobi. Now, please try to stay away from people today. Is the forest open to me? The one with training ground 44 inches on it? Sarutobi would be shocked if he didn't know that Naruto had previously visited the area. He knew this from Anko, who discovered the child sleeping in the forest, where it appeared that the forest was protecting him by hiding him among the plants, and the animals would attack her if she approached. I suppose, but leave Anko alone. Nay. Chan is one of the people I care about, so you can be sure I will. Sarutobi laughed as Naruto called Anko. One of the scariest kunoichi ever. Sister. See you, old man. Be careful, Naruto. The young Kitsune then departed from the area. Alongside Azulongmon. After demonstrating Naruto to the three of them, he turned to face them and asked, Is there a question? Yes, there is, said the yellow one. Why did you show us that boy and why are we all here? Will he be the one to tame one of us? Azulongmon responded, Why yes, he will. Of the three of you. The black Kitsune reacted first, saying, You mean you were going to give him, as the three were taken aback. The Omnivice, indeed. I'll give the Omnivice to him. Not that I'm disparaging the boy, sir, but why him? The blue one inquired. Well, since he satisfies all three of your requirements and because, as you can see, he has led a miserable life. He is still a cheerful and amiable child, though. I hope the three of you will be able to provide him with the companionship he needs. He turned to the yellow one and said, You saw that he is smart, and can improvise on the worst of situations. She nodded and he turned to the black one, saying, You saw his pranks, tell me you didn't like it. Besides, I know we will grow up on you quickly. And you saw the look in his eyes, sheer determination. She grinned as he turned to face the blue one. Let me know if you didn't enjoy it. After exchanging glances, they nodded and said, All right, we agree. Excellent. However, I must caution you that the rules of this world differ from those of the other worlds we are accustomed to. I wish you luck. They were then drawn to a digital hole and vanished. Ego. A Digimon's pussy. What the devil is a digital hole? Laureline. Although it might imply that, in this instance, it refers to a data-based portal that facilitates communication between the digital and physical realms. Ego. Well, Delphine, will you force Naruto to enter the virtual world? Delphine points a shotgun at Laureline and Ego, saying, You are dead if you interrupt the story again. They both swallowed and said nothing. Alongside Naruto. Unlike most ninjas, Naruto was able to enjoy the sights and smells of the forest while strolling around it. The forest welcomed him inside without any animals attacking him, so he didn't have to worry about the usual threats. 3 small foxes, one yellow, one dark, and one blue, were in the clearing when he ran there after spotting an odd hole in the sky a few steps ahead while he was keeping an eye on the area. It was uncommon to see 2 foxes together, much less the 3 he was observing, but that wasn't the most amazing part. They were conversing. Naruto knew this was strange because he knew that Konoha had an unreasonable hatred for foxes, so much so that there weren't many foxes left. So, where are we now? The blue one inquired. The yellow one said, We should try and find Naruto. Yes, and why do you think we should do that, Einstein? You don't think he'll show up out of the blue, do you? As Naruto attempted to approach, he abruptly stumbled and rolled up, landing in the center of the 3 shocked foxes. You know what, he showed up. You surely don't expect a pizza to just appear out of nowhere, do you? The dark one said, turning to face the yellow one after giving it some thought. She looked around, disappointed, and sighed. Oh well, it was worth a shoot, as the others began to perspire. Who are you? Naruto asked, glancing at the trio. We are Digimon. I am the yellow one, this is the dark one, and she was the blue one. Together, we are Vixamon. Gazing at them, Naruto said, What? The dark one said, This is going to be a problem. The 3 of them sighed. After giving it some thought, the yellow one turned to her and said, All right, so we're Digimon, creatures from the digital world. Okay. Our purpose here on Earth is to be your partners. But why me? The majority of people despise me, Naruto asked. The blue one responded this time, saying, because you meet our requirements, causing the others to perspire. But also because Azulongmon, who oversees all partnerships and tamers' requests, believes you are amusing and deserving of more. Naruto was moved by this. Someone, besides the Hokage, Tuchi, or Yame, actually cared about him. His eyes were welling with tears as he reached for them, and as he did, the three started to glow, and a ball of light grew over Naruto. As the three grew larger, Naruto recoiled. Vixamon Digivolve2. Renamon the Black Renamon Vulpamon. The light then dimmed, revealing three tall, slender kitsunes, each of whom was unique. Renamon had yellow fur, a white mane, blue eyes, purple armguards with the yin yang symbol on them, and light purple legs. See Renamon from the Digimon Tamers series. Similar to Renamon, but with dark fur, yellow eyes, and darker purple armguards, Black Renamon also possessed the yin yang symbol. Once more, Vulpamon had the yin yang symbols, but they were yellow on her legs. She had green eyes, blue fur, and yellow armguards. Shocked, Naruto looked at them and said, maybe we should go somewhere where you could explain me everything better. He was even more shocked when something fell on his head and he noticed it was an odd device. After nodding in agreement with his logic, they quickly left. After finishing their explanations to Naruto, Renamon, Black Renamon, and Vulpamon were all seated on chairs in his apartment. When they arrived, they were all a little taken aback by the state of the apartment, which was covered in messages such as, Die Demon. Additionally, there were noticeable signs of vandalism. The majority of the furniture was broken, with the exception of a few pieces that Naruto had fixed himself. Fragments of broken bottles littered some areas of the floor, and the windows were covered in wooden planks rather than glass, though even these were broken. Naruto was struggling to put everything together as he tried to take in what they had just told him. It seemed unreal. All right, let me check to see if I understand, Naruto remarked. You guys are Digimons. All right, Vulpamon said. You are from the digital world, which is linked to this and other human worlds. There are other Digimons that are similar to you, though they are all unique. Naruto went on. Even though you three look alike, you are different species. Renamon said, that is also correct. And one of the four sovereigns in this digital world chose to make me your partner? Naruto asked. And the winner of the prize for making the most accurate deductions is Naruto, Black Renamon joked. Naruto said, okay, I have many questions, ignoring the joke. 1. What is the number of Digimons? 2. What brought you here, the sovereign? 3. What do you mean by other human worlds? 4. Partner, what do you mean? 5. Why me? 6th and last. What on earth is this thing? In response to the final query, Naruto gestured toward the peculiar gadget he was carrying. Renamon was the first to speak after the three kitsune exchanged glances before turning to face him. All right, for the first question. I have no idea. There are simply too many. Counting was never bothered with. Not to mention the differences that some people have. We are three distinct species that are all variations of the same sketch, as you can see. Black Renamon said, second question. How do you expect us to know? He is sovereign. When we first met him, we were Digimons in training. It must be one of his powers. Third question. Vulpamon claimed that there are other human worlds. We had no idea your world even existed until now. The number of human worlds is only known by the sovereigns. Perhaps not even they are aware of every world. Fourth question. Renamon went on, we mean a human tamer when we say partner. There is more to it than that, but you will have to discover it for yourself. Someone who helps us train and advance to a higher level. Each tamer is typically a single Digimon, but you have 3 partners. Black Renamon said, fifth question. Really, the why me question? Naruto exclaimed, well, to tell you the truth, you met all the requirements. Black Renamon went on, you are hardworking and possess fighting and survival skills. We all agreed on those requirements. Renamon narrowed her eyes and said, then you have impressive improvisational skills, which was the special requirement of yellow. If your practical jokes are any indication, you have a wicked mind, which was my special requirement. Naruto nodded in response. And finally, you have a brave attitude, which gave you some points with the blue one. Vulpamon glared at Black Renamon. By the way, I can help you with some, if you want. The final query at last. Vulpamon cried out, that's the Omnivice. It is evidence of your tamed nature. It puts you in touch with us. You can use a variety of its programs. Just have a look at it first. It was rectangular, half the size of a palm, with straps on each side that he determined would enable him to wear it on his wrist. It had a circular screen, a large slit on the left side, and 5 buttons that were shown as 4 arrows pointing up, down, left, and right, with a final circular button in the center. The up arrow was red, like his fur. The down arrow was blue, like Volpamon. The right arrow was yellow, like Renamon. The left arrow was black, like Black Renamon, and the middle button was silver. All right, let us get started. The scanner is the red arrow, Volpamon stated. It enables you to turn on a scanner by pointing the device in that direction. Let me briefly explain its other features before you try it with us. You can use the blue one, a holographic radar, to find out if there are any other Digimon nearby. You can try that one right now. If there were any Digimon besides this, the compass would point towards where he is. Naruto nodded, understanding thus far. A holographic circle appeared, and an arrow was moving around without pointing at anything in particular. All right. The yellow one comes next, Volpamon said. It produces a holographic map of your current location within a constrained but expansive range. Put it on. Naruto did so, and a map with his house in the middle and a bridging up to 3 apartments away appeared over the Omnivice. He saw that in his house, there were 4 different crystals with different colors, 1 blue and 3 green. In the street and in some houses, some gray crystals were moving. Volpamon then explained. The blue one is you, the green ones are us, and the others are your buddies. The final crystal, the red one, represents Digimon, and the gray represent humans. Naruto whistled at this. Oh, and if you want us to go somewhere, press that location on the map and we'll go there. Volpamon said, I knew you would like that. The black one is a status button. It indicates whether we are safe or in danger. Try that, then the scanner, please. Following instructions, Naruto received 3 images, each of which had the same message, no illness, danger, or injuries. He then said, right. The images were Renamon, Black Renamon, and Volpamon. It's time to test the scanner, he said, pointing to Renamon and pressing the button. A voice spoke and an image of Renamon appeared. Renamon. Level. Novice. Data is the type. Holy is an attribute. Renamon is a very popular but rare Digimon. This is because she is a great fighter, even in her rookie form, frightening champion. Level Digimons. If that is the case, then why are they so rare? Because they are often hunted by Digimons who are either looking for a strong mate or who want to test their strength against them, making it difficult to find one. They are very intelligent and logical Digimons that prefer speed over defense when fighting, which means that even though they may defeat stronger opponents, if one manages to hit her, they will gain a huge advantage because Renamon has very low defense stats. They are also very quiet around everyone except those they trust, hence the phrase, cold as a Renamon. Attacks. Power Paw and Diamond Storm to make it difficult to hit her. This Digimon can disappear and reappear in different places. However, it requires a lot of focus to use, so she usually saves it for last in battle. Black Renamon couldn't wait for Naruto, who was admired, to ask many questions. Come on, it's my turn, champion. Naruto scanned the Black Kitsune after deciding to comply with her request. Black Renamon. Level. Novice. Virus type. Characteristic. Dark. The origins of this Digimon are unknown. Whether it was the union of a Renamon with a dark, viral Digimon or simply a Renamon that was infected by a virus, one thing is certain. Whatever it was, it produced one of the most cunning Digimons. To the powerful mind of the Renamon, comes the wicked tendencies of the virus Digimons, making this Digimon one to fear. However, she is also very popular, not only because she resembles Renamon but also because she is extremely rare and hard to find. She prefers speed over defense. Attacks. Shadow Paw. Obsidian Storm to make it difficult to hit her. This Digimon can disappear and reappear in different places. However, it requires a lot of focus to use, so she usually saves it for last in battle. This impressed Naruto, and once more, he was about to inquire, what about me? With a sigh, Naruto looked at Volpamon as he whined in a childish manner. Volpamon. Level. Novice. Type. Immunization. Ice is an attribute. This is an example of an obsession paying off. A man who was obsessed with 2 things, Renamon and the ancient northern religions, created his own version of Renamon in his computer. It was only a sketch, but it fell into the net and came to life, giving rise to Volpamon, the ice vaccine. Like form of Renamon. However, this Digimon is very gregarious, acts as though everything is fine in the world, and is always ready to fight. Her Viking-like personality may have come from the original creator. She also has a rivalry with Black Renamon, frequently believes that tamers are cowards who stay in the background and let the Digimon. Attacks. Ice Paw, Crystal Storm to make it difficult to hit her. This Digimon can disappear and reappear in different places. However, it requires a lot of focus to use, so she usually saves it for last in battle. Alright, so even though I thought the descriptions were cool, I have to ask. 1. What the hell does he mean by level, type, and attribute? Naruto chose to ask more questions. 2. Can I use this to scan other Digimon? 3rd. Is it necessary to provide such extensive descriptions every time? Once more, Renamon took the lead. For the first one, Digimons are divided by levels. The Digi, Tama, or egg form, comes first. Indeed, we are descended from eggs as well. Next, you don't need to worry about the training I and 2. These are merely infantile levels. But after that, things become difficult. Rookie, Champion, Ultimate, and Mega are among them. A Digimon that evolved from a Rookie is considered Champion level. A Digimon that developed from a Champion is called an Ultimate, and one that developed from an Ultimate is called a Mega. However, some Digimon go beyond that, such as Anubismon, the Sovereigns, and Fanglongmon. They surpass Mega because they are level God. Explaining the type is not too difficult. Each Digimon belongs to one of 3 categories: vaccine, data, or virus. Since a virus Digimon is powerful against data Digimons and weak against vaccines, and vaccines are weak against data, these types can have an impact on a battle. The attribute is the challenging component. They only indicate which element you are a part of. With the exception of certain Digimons with unique abilities that impact particular attributes more, such as Marimon's Heatwave, which doubles damage in Ice attribute Digimon, it offers no advantage at all in combat. Yes, you can scan other Digimons, Black Renamon said in response to your subsequent query. It is meant to give you a sense of what you are dealing with. We don't want you to face something and be ignorant of it, after all. You might unintentionally force us to battle a Mega. Lastly, don't be dumb. It gave you a big description of us because we are your partners, Volpamon remarked. I believe you would receive something along the lines of speed over defense. If we weren't clever and crafty. Be careful. For instance, using Renamon as an example. After nodding, Naruto turned to face them and uttered the words, I have to tell the old man about this. They appeared perplexed until he clarified, he is the village's Hokage. But I call him Oji-san because he looks after me. It was Renamon's turn to ask, what is the Hokage? When she asked, Naruto smiled and said, it's the village chief. In order to defend everyone, the Hokage is supposed to be the strongest person in the village. And that is my goal, to be a Hokage, Naruto said, leaping to the table with his tail slapping out behind him. Every shinobi obeys him because he is the maximum authority here. And the greatest Hokage ever, not just any old one. The 3 Kitsune regarded him with varying opinions. He wants to be the leader of the same people that mistreat him and try to kill him every day. This is going to require a lot of planning and work, thought Renamon. He wants to be the Hokage. After what the people did to him. That would be the ultimate prank. This kid is really wicked, thought Black Renamon. Such ambition, but I can feel he will give it his all if it is necessary. I will help you, Naruto Uzumaki. We must now go meet him as soon as possible. There is a problem. How am I going to take you all with me? Naruto exclaimed as he leapt from his table. Have you ever wondered why Volpamon didn't tell you about the gray button? Renamon grinned. Press it and pointed at me. You have to say, gather Renamon, as you press it. Shrugging and following instructions, Naruto pressed the gray button and shouted, gather Renamon, oh shit. I killed Renamon. Naruto looked around in horror as Renamon vanished after being struck by a red tiny beam. No, you didn't, you idiot. The gray button allows you to put us in the Omnivice for when you want to walk around without being discovered, he said, glancing at the Omnivice's screen to see that the circle had now been divided into 3, with Renamon in the lower one. Easy and efficient, huh? Simply say, gather, and the Digimon's name, and you can do the same to the others as long as they're your partners. Say, gather party, to get all of your partners to enter the Omnivice. With a nod, Naruto gestured to the others and pressed the gray button before turning to face them and asking, how can I get you to come out? Black Renamon explained, just press on the gray button and yell, reload party, or just reload a single partner by saying the name of the Digimon you want out. Let's meet your Oji-san now, Volpamon shouted. As he strapped the Omnivice to his wrist and left, Naruto nodded and asked himself, how will Oji-san respond to this? A few moments later, in the Hokage's office, Sarutobi was incredibly silent. Naruto had just told him what had happened on his birthday and what his alleged partners had told him. I hope you have some sort of proof of this, Naruto, sighed Sarutobi. I find it too unbelievable to simply accept. Naruto nodded before yelling, reload party, and pressing a gray button on the Omnivice. Sarutobi's eyes widened when he saw the 3 Digimon that had suddenly entered the office. Then Renamon said, It is an honor to meet you, Hokage Sama. Jokingly, Black Renamon said, yeah, it certainly is. So you are this village's strongest? Not much, in my opinion, Volpaman remarked. Then Sarutobi turned to Naruto and thought, if people find out about this, he is doomed. They will think that this Digimons are servants of Kyuubi, but I can feel they are nothing of the sort. But, this is also a golden opportunity. These Digimons have unique skills. I know what I must do. It is the only option. Pack your belongings, Naruto. You have to get out of your apartment right now, Sarutobi commanded. Shocked, Naruto said, but where will I go? Where am I going to reside? I'm going to move in with you. Naruto was even more shocked by this. I've let too much happen to you, and it's enough. I'm going to move in with you. I swear to train you to become the best ninja I can. I hear you, Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, okay, join me in counting. Then Black Renamon came forward and said, what is your true plan, old man? All I will say is that in the past, the first Hokage had a special group of ninjas that had special privileges and duties and only answered to the Hokage, Sarutobi said, turning to face her. Known as the Hokage's hand, these ninjas even had power over Anbu and Junins. For these people, some laws may even be bent. The second Hokage, however, decided that the group was unnecessary and disbanded it. So you want me to become one of them? Naruto asked. That's correct. You, your partners, and, if you don't mind, a few other special people. These folks have their own issues, just like you. However, I think you can all become excellent ninjas. To be honest with you, I require my own secret weapon. You see, like a concealed dagger. One that I am aware the council cannot affect. Naruto leapt with delight. Yada. I promise not to disappoint you. Oji-san, I swear. Sarutobi grinned. Naruto's life was beginning to appear more promising. Sarutobi was followed closely by Naruto, Renamon, Black Renamon, and Volpaman as they made their way through the dark hallways of a building that appeared to be a small, deserted country home from the outside, but inside was a vast system of tunnels that astounded Naruto and the others. So, Oji-san, where are we heading? A special training ground for us? In an attempt to get the most out of Sarutobi, Naruto asked. Yes, but not only that. This will serve as a sort of headquarters for you. It features a library, dorms, a kitchen, a variety of training grounds, and even a recreation area. But you will be the one to fill the final one. Naturally, you and the others. Sarutobi continued to walk. So, how does the Hokage's hand operate? Do we all get to play the role of a finger? Naruto remarked, because I want to be the middle one. Naruto. It is actually something like that, since there are always 5 members in the Hokage's hand, Sarutobi said before giggling at his antics. Unfortunately, your partners are not included in this. What? Why? Volpaman inquired, because none of you are ninjas. You play a similar role to Inuzuka dogs. You are linked to a ninja, Naruto in this case, and you are living ninja tools. This is your description, even though I know it doesn't sound very appealing, Sarutobi said. We can live with that. Renamon replied. We do wish to know what other members there are going to be. Well, some children are shunned because their extraordinary abilities do not fit in with their family, clan, or orphanage. He has strong fighting and evading abilities, just like Naruto here, but he is shunned due to his appearance. And you want to assemble these misfits into a team? Black Renamon inquired. Precisely. What about Naruto's appearance? Renamon asked, turning to face Naruto. What makes him so despised? I was wondering why, as Azulongmon never explained it to us. Sarutobi looked at Naruto and said, it is up to you to tell them, Naruto, as they both instantly stopped. After all, it's your secret. With a sigh, Naruto turned to the others and said, could we talk about this later? With painful eyes. I don't feel like telling right now. This is going to be the mission room, the 3 Kitsune said, nodding as they all went on until they came to an empty room. All of the other rooms are accessible from here. Sarutobi clarified, so when I call a meeting, you are to present here. Now you are all to stay here while I go get the others. The 3 turned to Naruto, who sighed and said, I guess I should tell you, after nodding as the elderly Kage departed via the same entrance. Well, a huge demon attacked our village on October 10th, the day I was born. It's known as the Kyuubi. What do you mean? Kyuubi-mon are not monsters, Renamon shouted. Kyuubi-mon. No, it was Kyuubi, a demon fox, not a Digimon. In any case, it destroyed a large portion of the village and many people died, Naruto said, attempting and succeeding in explaining to the others that the Kyuubi had red fur. However, the 4th Hokage. 4th? But that old man is the 3rd, isn't he? Black Renamon inquired. He was the third Hokage, but Minato Namikaze, the fourth, succeeded him after he retired. The fourth Hokage then emerged and engaged the beast in a fierce battle. But since the demon was a creature composed entirely of chakra, he was unable to destroy it. So he did the second best thing, Naruto remarked, pausing as he began to feel uneasy. What? What did he do? Come on, Volpaman inquired. He sealed the creature inside a baby, me, said Naruto, causing others to gasp. That is why I have this furry ears and tail. It is because of an excess of Kyuubi chakra that leaked out of the seal. Not at all. Those damn assholes. The three stood in astonishment at the revelation, then snarled, giving Naruto the impression that they hated him or that he had offended them. Volpaman shouted. Oh, when I get out of here, I'm going to love eating their bones, Black Renamon said. We won't do any of that, girls. Renamon merely grinned and said, killing is too forgiving. We'll kill them after torturing them to death. Naruto exclaimed, what? Observe, Naruto. We recognize that you are not the demon. We've already seen enough to conclude that you are not a demon in any manner. They're the ones who are foolish. Renamon said. Yeah, don't worry, we will make sure to prove them wrong, Volpaman replied. Remember to make them pay as you go along, Black Renamon said. Naruto began to cry at what they said because he had someone who truly cared about him and didn't have any problems with him. Until now, he had only Ayame, Tuchi, Oji Dotsan, and a little Anbu, but that was about it. Everyone else either detested him or chose to ignore him. He gave the three a hug and muttered, thank you so much. If you are done with the teary part, here is one of your new teammates, Naruto, the three said, grinning and giving him a hug in return. The moment was cut short when they heard a cough behind them. Jean Haruno is her name. She was undoubtedly 6 years old, but there were several issues with this Haruno. First, she was very quiet, and no Haruno was quiet. Second, her clothes were filthy and torn, and Harunos always wear the most expensive dresses, and third, she appeared afraid, whereas the Harunos were always full of confidence. Naruto turned and saw a girl wearing very poor clothes with her pink hair done in a pigtail. Her green eyes looked at him with a little fear. Hello, I'm Naruto. He pointed to Renamon and said, this is Renamon. He then pointed to Black Renamon and said, this is Black Renamon. Finally, he pointed to Volpaman. My partners are them. I'm hoping we can collaborate effectively. When the girl began making signs with her hands after glancing at him, Naruto was perplexed and thought, is she going to use a jutsu? Have you thought that? Sarutobi responded, calm down, Naruto. She won't attack you. What were those hand signals, though? Naruto asked. Yes, I see that by now you realize just how different she is from the other Harunos, Sarutobi said, causing Naruto to widen his eyes. Gestural language. The problem is that Jean was not able to speak from birth. As a result, the Harunos gave her no attention at all and treated her like a second-class Haruno. But she's a master of sealing jutsu. I therefore made the decision for her to join the group. When Naruto noticed that Jean was looking at him as if she was afraid of his response, he smiled and said, don't worry, Jean. There is no significance in simply not speaking. If you can perform sealing jutsu, you must be very skilled. It's a difficult task. Jean smiled at the commentary. Sarutobi was out once more when he said, okay, kids, stay here while I go get the others. Renamon approached Jean and struck up a conversation. It seemed that Renamon was proficient in gestural language, and he promised to teach the others so that they could all communicate with Jean. The girl was pleased that someone had taken the time to learn gestural language in order to converse with her. A few moments later, Sarutobi emerged with an odd child standing close to him. The child, who was no older than 5, had yellow eyes and was examining everything around him. He was dressed in a dark blue jacket, white pants, and marine blue hair. Introducing Alex Russo to all. He is a skilled genjutsu practitioner, according to Sarutobi. Hello. Are you mute too? Asked Naruto, attempting to be friendly, when he didn't respond. Alex turned to the girl and said, monotonously, I'm perfectly capable of speech. You, however, seem not. Jean nodded regretfully, since it was the only thing she could ask anyway, and she promised to learn gestural language for the team's benefit. You don't have to be so cold, Naruto said, giving him a strange look. We will work together as a team. And until we trust each other more, I suggest you get used to my way of dealing with people, Alex replied. Making a funny face, Naruto turned to face the others and said, geez, what crawled up his butt? The others laughed at this. Maybe I should show you. Alex said as his hand turned bizarre, with a black substance and a larger, claw-like hand that protruded spikes. Naruto leapt out of his skin upon seeing it, his partners tensing up and preparing for trouble. Sarutobi then placed a hand in his shoulder and said, "Please refrain from attacking your team members, Alex." Sarutobi turned to the others and nodded as his hand returned to normal. "All right, 3 down, 2 to go." After saying that, he left. "Hey, what on earth was that?" Naruto asked. "A delusion. To make you fear me, I tricked you into believing that you could see my hand shifting. Is this sufficient to satisfy your curiosity?" "There?" Alex inquired. "We all had difficult lives, so you don't need to act rude," Naruto said. "Perhaps, but does that imply that we should have faith in everyone present? I personally believe that the more difficult a person's life is, the less trustworthy they are, so I'll continue to act in this manner until you can prove yourself worthy," Alex said. After a period of silence, Sarutobi reappeared and said, "This is the 4th member. Everyone, meet Riku Aibara." Everyone turned to see a boy with short green hair, wearing some cream shorts and a red shirt. He was 8 years old by the looks. His eyes were orange and he had a goofy look on his face. Against his shoulder laid a sword in its stealth. "What is up?" "Aibara," Naruto said, "I've never heard of them. This is due to the fact that we are more like a small ninja family than a clan. But after I unintentionally blew half the house, I was expelled." Whistling, Naruto asked, "How did that happen?" Riku said, "I have a very strong wind element." After glancing at the black kitsune, "I drew chakra without realizing it while I was having fun. Actually, I had no idea what I was doing because I was only 4 years old. Suddenly, half of the house vanished due to a sudden gust of wind." "Gosh," Naruto said. "Well, just one left," Sarutobi said as he disappeared once more. "Say, shouldn't there be just 5 of us? There are far too many people to form a hand," Riku said, trying not to come across as antisocial or anything. "Although we are alive, me and the other 2 kitsunes here are only considered ninja tools of Naruto over there," replied Volpaman. Riku turned to Jean and asked, "How about you? Cool. You're a Haruno, based on your hair. You haven't said anything, though." "She can't because she is silent," Black Renneman said. "Oh no, I apologize for that," Riku said. "Tell you what, I'll learn gestural language and apologize again using hand signals just so you can forgive me. I will. I swear to you." After Jean nodded and grinned, Riku turned to Alex and said, "And who are you, Mr. Sunshine?" Alex made the room feel as though it was freezing and said, "You better not mock me if you want to see daylight again." "Damn, so outgoing, huh? You know, you didn't have to freeze the room," Riku remarked, stepping back. "That guy has been acting that way since he arrived, so forget it. He has absolutely no faith in people." Naruto turned away from Alex and remarked, "It's probably an illusion, though. Do not be concerned." "All right. Whatever you say. Say, what's with the fake foxtail and ears?" asked Riku. "Are you attempting to match your partners?" "They're genuine. A jerk. Take a look," Naruto screamed. Riku approached and grabbed one of Naruto's ears, but he did so too forcefully, causing Naruto to scream in agony. "Holy crap. They really are," Riku said. "They are, of course. Did you think I was deceiving you?" Naruto asked. "Well, yes," Riku said. "If you are done fooling around, I would like you to meet your latest team member." Everyone turned to see the Hokage holding a young girl by the hand who was, at most, 5 years old. She had blue hair cut in a Heim-cut style, white eyes without pupils, and white clothing. Naruto recognized that she was a Hyuga. Allowing others to approach the new member, Sarutobi said, "Everyone, this is Hinata Hyuga, your latest team member." "Hello. By the way, my name is Riku. Riku Aibara," Riku said. "This is Naruto. Renneman, Black Renneman, and Volpaman are here." Naruto introduced each person. Alex said, "Alex Russo." Riku was the first to respond after noticing Jean's hand signals. "Oh, and this is Jean." As he approached a podium, Sarutobi said, "Very well, and now that the introductions are over, we can go to the explanations. Now, the Hokage's hand are elites, in that they have to be superior to all of the villages Anbu and Junin. Each of you has a unique skill that sets you apart." He turns to Hinata and says, "Your father may not notice your medical skills, but I do." He turned to face Riku and said, "We will attempt to resolve your issue with the Jayukin here. Your clan is terrified of you because of your superior wind abilities." He turned to Alex and said, "You have a special ability to control the virus you have here." He turned to Jean and said, "Your Fuinjutsu skills are unmatched. Here, you will learn to trust others and work as a team. You guys have skills that I cannot yet predict, yet I know that you will become a force to be renowned," he said, turning to face Naruto and his companions. "Here you will learn to be yourself. In the village, you only obey to me," he said, allowing the children to process what he had told them before detonating another bomb. You are therefore superior to the council itself. You are exempt from most rules, with the exception of those I impose on you. No rule they make has any authority over you. You will report to me, you will follow my instructions, and you will accept missions from me. Does that make sense? At the reciprocal, yes, sir, Sarutobi said, you are all free to use the training grounds, but you must present on training ground 5 every Sunday until I say otherwise. Sarutobi went on, more than that, each one of you will have a personal class every week at a still-to-define date so that I may train things that better suit one or the other. Medical skills, the dark arts, sealing jutsu, and much more. They turned around in disbelief at how suddenly the tables had appeared. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. Excellent. The library is open to you as well. The rules now. With the exception of sparring, members of the Hokage's hand are not permitted to fight. Petty arguments won't cause my team to fall apart. That goes double for you, Alex. Alex muttered to himself as he said, no one is allowed to divulge any clan secrets they discover here. This is to stop enemy spies from getting sensitive information. Lastly, under no circumstances may any of you bring anyone here. You get it? Yes, sir. Good, Sarutobi said, until a hole appeared in the center of the room, followed by an odd fog, and then the image of a blue dragon with chains emerged. Most of the kitsune took a step back, but 3 of them stood in front of the strange creature and exclaimed, Azulongmon. Sama. Hey, it looks like you've already mastered the rookie level. After Azulongmon in his smaller form said this, Naruto recalled the Omnivice and pointed it at Azulongmon, receiving the description that follows. Azulongmon's name level, deity data type. Dragon is the element. He is the most compassionate of the 4 holy beasts. Perhaps this is the reason he makes sure to match Digimon with their tamers. Attacks. Dance of Raijin, Aurora Force, and Lightning Whip. Note. The number of powers this Digimon possesses is unknown. If you encounter him, proceed with caution. Well, if it isn't Naruto. Naruto grew tense. I hope you keep doing a good job keeping these 3 in check. Azulongmon turned to where the voice was heard and grinned. While attempting to avoid upsetting the elderly dragon, Naruto said, I will, Azulongmon. Sama. Then Azulongmon turned to Sarutobi and said, you must be the group's founder and Hokage. I have important news to share. According to Azulongmon, it appears that the fabric between worlds has gone thinner. As a result, Digimons might begin to show up in this world. But I have a strategy. I want to turn the children in the room into tamers. As a result, fighting the approaching Digimons is still possible. Indecisive Sarutobi said, well, on the one hand, this meant that the Hokage's hand would have one more power and be in a better position to deal with Digimon, but on the other hand, it also meant that the council would have more issues to deal with. Unless, if I could get the daimyo to agree with the Hokage's hand, then the council would have no power to intervene, Sarutobi said. After giving a nod, the elderly Digimon turned to Alex and said, you first. You captured one of my Digimon's attention. With that, a Lunaman approached the child. This is Lunaman. And who said that I require a companion? To everyone's surprise, Axel said, I already have to deal with all these guys. Adding more won't make it easier. Lunaman approached him without seeming to mind. Give me a try. Alex turned to her and said, pardon me? Test me, I said. You don't mind showing everyone here how much you think I'm worthless. You must choose the true me, Alex said, staring at her with narrowed eyes until, much to everyone's surprise, he vanished and 10 of him appeared around Lunaman. Which of these is me? All of them shouted simultaneously. Lunaman chuckled as everyone searched for the real Alex among the 10 clones. Neither are. The moment you narrowed your eyes to me you moved towards the door and you have been there, cross. Armed and looking at the result of your genjutsu, she explained as the 10 clones narrowed their eyes and everyone stared at Lunaman in bewilderment. The clones abruptly disappeared. Alex was standing by the door, as Lunaman had mentioned, and he clapped his hands before approaching Lunaman. Very well, you have proven yourself worthy, so I shall accept this partnership, he said. Even so, we still have a long way to go before we can collaborate flawlessly. Do you understand? Yes, sir, Lunaman said as she hurried over to join him. Everyone turned as Azulongmon said, if we may continue here, I have just the Digimon for our windy guy, Falcomon. A small bird Digimon appeared and leapt toward Riku. Hi there. I'm Falcomon, and it's a pleasure to meet you. I hope our collaboration is fruitful. Falcomon uttered those words. I am aware that there are 2 varieties of Falcomon, but I choose the Digimon Savers version. Riku then shook his wing and said, it's nice to meet you too. My name is Riku Ibara. You were actually a challenge, Azulongmon said, turning to face Jean. In reality, I had to look for a Digimon that understood gestural language. But I did find one. Palmon, come now. Then a Palmon materialized close to Jean. Hey, Palmon is his name. Yes, I am a plant. Type Digimon from the nature forests, Palmon said, nodding in response to Jean's hand signals. You must be shocked to see a walking plant, but I sincerely hope we can become friends. Jean nodded and grinned. Hinata. Hinata shuddered slightly as she heard her name called. I noticed that you lack a lot of confidence. I must have picked this partner specifically for that reason. Gatomon, hurry up. Then Gatomon materialized, sprinted over to Hinata, and leapt to her, saying, Hello, my name is Gatomon. A little taken aback, Hinata exclaimed, H. Hi, I. I don't bite very often, so don't be so afraid, Gatomon said. As his eyes closed, Azulongmon said, and now the devices. Suddenly, 4 lights appeared, and Hinata, Jean, Alex, and Riku each had a device in their hands. Naruto noticed that, aside from being smaller, the only real difference between theirs and his own was the color of the arrows. Jean had pink and green arrows, Hinata had dark blue and white arrows, Riku had green and purple arrows, and Alex had light blue and white. All of them had silver middle button. I know you're curious about them, but I'll let your partners explain. Now the cards, Azulongmon remarked as a few cards materialized in the tamer's hands. Normally, you would have more than these, but I gave the Omnivice and the Digivice a special ability. You will discover for yourself. My time is running out, so your partners will also need to explain the cards. It can be difficult to maintain a portal between so far away worlds. He left after saying, I hope you achieve your goals. Sarutobi pinched his nose as everyone was perplexed by what had transpired, saying, I'm getting too old for this. Now 12 years old, Naruto was among the happiest people in the village, with the other members of the Hokage's hand competing with him in that regard. In all honesty, everyone had gotten along pretty well in the underground headquarters, which had everything they needed, from ideal training grounds to a library as large as the Hokage's, and they were now a cohesive team. Alex had stopped being reclusive, Hinata had stopped being bashful, and they were no longer bothered by Jean's silence. Sarutobi insisted that they all sleep in the same room for the first year, so the problem was not the room's size but rather the fact that they were sharing it with strangers. Axel was a good influence, and by the 3rd year he already trusted them enough and wasn't as rude to them. It wasn't until the 4th year that he opened up to the others fully. To say that things started well was a lie. Axel was the only person he trusted, and he kept to himself most of the time, even training in a different training ground than the others. When asked questions, he had the annoying habit of saying it was none of their business. Author style. Jutsu no flashback. Can I talk to you, guys? They were seated at the dinner table after eating dinner when Alex asked in a low voice. Naruto, who was responsible for washing the dishes that evening, quickly moved away from them and took a seat. Yes, Alex. What is the issue? Naruto asked. The others turned to face Alex, waiting for him to explain the situation. Alex was breathing heavily, but Lunamon's hand on his shoulder calmed him down. I think it is time I tell you that I lied to you all, he said. He said, my genjutsu is just average, typical shinobi, as everyone turned to stare at him in confusion. There is something in me that is my true talent. Renamon made Alex laugh when he said, I take it this has something to do about that virus reference Sarutobi did 4 years ago. I see that you are quite smart, I am surprised you didn't try to force information out of me, Alex replied. You wouldn't have given it to me anyway, I preferred to wait, Renamon replied. Thanks, Alex said with a smile and a nod. In any case, I must first introduce myself. I was not meant to be like other kids. I have neither a mother nor a father. The others exclaimed. I was made in a lab, and my only function was to test a virus and how it behaved in a host body. Orochimaru, a dangerous man, was the one responsible for the test. However, what did he desire? Hinata asked. He desired someone who was capable of using that virus's power. Alex stated that he hoped to find the ideal host for himself. What do you mean by a host for himself? He seems to have wanted to control your body, Riku said. When everyone gasped, he went on, that was his plan. It seems that he has this jutsu that gives him immortality of the soul, but not of the body. He must therefore find a new home for his soul as the body rots. He learns the techniques from his host as he assumes someone else's body. That is simply incorrect. The others nodded in agreement as Naruto said, that is just plain sick. Jean then performed a few hand signals. As everyone turned to face him, he went on, well Jean, I was able to survive because of my virus. The same virus that should test me turned out to evolve into some freaky new virus. This virus gave me some abilities and prevented Orochimaru from controlling my body. The two looked at each other. What kind of skills? After making a single hand gesture, Alex grinned and muttered, infected style. Virus claw. Alex's hand abruptly changed to a familiar claw, which he flexed while the others gasped. This is what I am talking about, he said. I can make these appendages with unique abilities using biomass. Other powers may exist, but I haven't found them yet. I refer to this infected style as my jutsus. You mean that day, when I avoided that, it wasn't a genjutsu? Naruto screamed. Alex's hand returned to normal, and he said, yes. Teme! Yelled Naruto as he threw himself against Alex. Lunaman was about to interfere when Renamon, Black Renamon and Vulpamon stopped her, forcing everyone to watch without being able to interfere. The two rolled on the floor, kicking and punching until both were panting hard on the floor. Naruto then said, not bad. You are not so bad either, said Alex. Truce? Naruto said, truce. Riku then said, okay, guys, as they returned to the table. I believe it's time for me to share my secret as well. My mother was the head of my family, you see. She wasn't regarded as clan head because we weren't a clan, but she maintained her position on the council due to the stores she owns, which account for around 25% of Konoha's revenue. Really? But, if she is the head of the family, then why did she discard you? Exclaimed Naruto. Sure, you blew off a house, but that is not enough too. You see. There was another part of that story, Riku remarked. It wasn't. My mother had no interest in sleeping with many ninja, constantly seeking out members of clans or powerful families. Even though it's not very effective, my brother has a Byakugan. You're going off course once more, Riku, Falcomon said. I'm sorry, man. In any case, one day my father got a big one in bed with her. Everyone gasped when they heard that she had gone to bed with Asuma Sarutobi, the Hokage's son. So you're the son of a bastard and a bitch, Alex said. Yes, I am, in a sense, Riku remarked. You didn't have to say it that way. In any case, she attempted to gain power by using me. When the aforementioned was still seeing Kurenai, the Ice Queen of Konoha, she threatened to reveal the truth about me being Asuma's son. But the Hokage refused to accept it and didn't fall for such ploys. To get me, he even called an Anbu. When my mother arrives home in an attempt to rescue me before he does, she discovers that the house has been partially destroyed. It's not good for a woman who is angry. Jean made a few hand gestures. You may reiterate that. She used all of her strength to strike me. Everything, debris, pans, rocks, fists. I would be dead if Anbu hadn't arrived at that time. My story is that Sarutobi kept me a secret, Riku remarked. After giving a nod, Naruto turned to face Hinata and asked, how about you, Hinata? Do you want a story? Hinata fiddled with her fingers and said, as you are already aware, my father is the head of the Hyuga clan. The Hyugas have a rule that divides the family into two categories, the main family and the branch family. The primary regulations of the branch family are represented by a caged bird seal that is applied to branch members. The main house uses the seal to inflict pain when a branch does something that they dislike. Occasionally, the branch member is even killed. Even Axel wasn't apathetic by that point. They can't treat their own family that way. Yes. You're correct. That ain't right, shouted Gatamon. Families should look out for one another rather than harm one another. Riku remarked, well, I am a case where that is not true, but this is disgusting. Enslaving your own family members? That is cruel. To teach those jerks a lesson, I propose that we pull a big practical joke on them, Black Renamon said. After Jean made a few hand gestures, Palmon turned to the others and shouted, hey, quit. Hinata should continue, according to Jean. Hinata went on, well, my mother has always been against that system, as everyone said, sorry, Jean. Day and night, she quarreled with the elders. She dropped the last bomb while the others stared in disbelief. So they actually killed her to get her out of their way. And the worst is, my father agreed with them, she said. He attempted to brand me with the caged bird seal, after I told him that I wanted to be like my mother. As everyone fell silent, Gatamon leapt into her partner's lap and commanded Hinata to face herself, saying, you are no longer a Hyuga. You are a member of the Hokage's hand, and we are here to support you. Those annoying Hyugas will continue to receive their just desserts. After Hinata grinned at her partner, everyone turned to face Jean, who initially looked a little insecure before beginning to make hand signals. Alex interpreted the hand signals and said, so the Harunos hated you because not only were you born mute, but you had more chakra than normal, making your chakra control far weaker than theirs. Jean gave a nod. Just that? I assumed you would have a big secret or something to be here, Riku inquired. Everyone appears to have. Jean performed some hand signals while looking down. You discovered a clan secret. What sort of secret? Hinata asked. Jean made a few more signs. Swap. What do you mean that trades were made by the Harunos? Even some ninja families do it, as do all non-ninja families, Riku said. The room fell silent as everyone tried to process what she had just said. She continued to make signs. Naruto said, information, in a low voice, but his voice rose as he added, your family sold information to Konoha's enemies? That is the height of betrayal. What was the purpose of their information sales? Riku inquired. Before stopping, Jean made a few more hand gestures, but the message was obvious. Half of the village once it is conquered, said Falcomon. The only question is who would make such an offer, even if they don't plan to keep their end of the bargain. However, do you all understand what this means? Konoha is fully exposed to someone who is more knowledgeable than he ought to be. Have you informed the Hokage of that? Naruto screamed. Jean gave a nod, and Alex answered, then there is nothing we can do. We should let the Hokage handle it and see how it goes. Before realizing that everyone was staring at him, Naruto said, yeah, what? Hinata said, your turn, Naruto. With a sigh, Naruto revealed Kyuubi's secret to them, and the responses were not at all what he had anticipated. So, you two have been exiled and treated below garbage for something that is just part of your nature, Riku replied. Therefore, you are also a host to a being that bestows power upon you. I understand. Interesting, Alex remarked. Jean used hand gestures to convey the message. You understand what it's like to be harassed because you're different. Hinata replied, you have been doomed by a seal, just like the Branch family. Riku remarked, if we all think about it, we were all screwed, but you had it the worst among us, Naruto. You experienced all of our pain during your lifetime. Drawing everyone's attention, Naruto said, maybe, but think about one thing. We have suffered all our lives, but now we are rewarded for our suffering, for our difference. We belong to the fabled Hokage's hand. We are superior to the council. I am no longer pursued by anyone. No one can treat me as a monster because of my virus, Alex replied. My power is not someone's fault, Riku said. No one can make fun of me for my shortcomings. Jean made some hand signals. Hinata said, and no one can hurt me because of my choices. So, folks, let's make a vow, Naruto said. To be a family that supports and defends one another. What are your thoughts? We are a screwed up family, if you ask me, Riku said after the members exchanged glances. I wouldn't trade it for anything, though, damn it. Naruto groaned as Alex said, you are still going to clean the dishes, Naruto. They had agreed to become what they most needed, a family. Author style. Jutsu Kai flashback. And so they did, honing their abilities along the way. During the initial years, they learned about the cards they were given and trained body and chakra control. To their Digimon's surprise, the set was incomplete. Author style. Jutsu without flashback. What do you mean that it's not finished? They were in the dorms, examining their cards, when Riku asked. You only have one kind of card, after all. Falcomon said, here, let me show you. See, this card is called Hyper Speed, and it is a status card, Falcomon said as he grabbed the deck and took the first card. A Digimon's status is elevated by its use. As he took the card in question, Falcomon remarked, your decks only have these cards except for 4 last cards. Well, in Naruto's case, there are 12. These cards are Digimon cards. Look, this is me, Falcomon. Why would my card appear 4 times in your deck? Naruto discovered a note in the midst of his cards as the tamers began examining their own decks to make sure theirs had suffered the same fate. Guys, take a look at this. I believe Azulongmon left a message. How is that beast able to write? The mere act of his hand grabbing the paper would tear it. As he approached, Riku remarked, the note contained the following. To tamers, your decks aren't complete, as you may have noticed, and that's because I made them that way. You'll understand why when you begin learning jutsus or when you have your own equipment. Now, for the final cards, I made 4 of those so you can share power with your friends. I hope this explanation meets your needs, Azulongmon. Well, it doesn't clarify why it's lacking. However, that is irrelevant. Here are some Falcomon cards, folks. They seem to give you the Ninja Blade attack. Since it's just a bunch of shuriken that he throws, I never understood why it's called that, Riku remarked. Hey, if used properly, that can be pretty powerful. Falcomon defended himself, causing the others to chuckle. Hinata said, don't worry, Falcomon, he is just teasing. Arigato, Hinata, Falcomon said, bowing to Hinata. You're really nice. Wondering what Azulongmon was trying to say with that note, they switched the cards, and Riku then asked, "How do you use this cards again?" Volpamon was the first to respond as the tamers examined their Digimons, saying, "Look at your Digivices." As they all did, she added, "Notice that slit on the side? There, you pass your cards, and your Digimon changes based on the card. But there's more to it, Naruto. You have 3 partners," Naruto said, looking perplexed. "Therefore, you need to select a target for each card before using it. You then say, 'Target,' and the Digimon's name while pressing the center button." "Can't the 3 be impacted by the card?" Naruto asked. "Yes, if it's a status card. Target party is all you need to say." Renamon clarified, "If not, you have to pick a target or the card won't work." They began testing the cards with this new knowledge in mind. Author style. Jutsu Kai's flashback. One day after Naruto discovered that Azulongmon's element was fire, it took him a year to understand what he meant in his note. Author style. Jutsu without flashback. Naruto was putting all of his effort into learning a new jutsu, fire style. Fireball Jutsu, which was from the Uchiha personal library. Naruto wanted to learn it because he detested the snobbish attitude of the Uchihas, even though there was only one left. That jutsu was difficult, though, and he had been attempting it for a while without success. Volpamon was sitting and taking a breath while Renamon was training with Black Renamon. Naruto chose to step on it, making the hand signals and shouting, "Fire style, Fireball Jutsu." A massive flame emerged from his mouth and struck the intended target, a picture of the council. Over the years of their training together, they developed a sort of list of individuals they detested: Hyugas, council; Sasuke, Harunos, Ibaras, council; shops owners in general, librarians, council; some Anbu, Orochimaru, and, of course, the council. As a result, they would use various images of these individuals as target practice for everything from shuriken to jutsus. Naruto was thrilled with his new jutsu, but when his Omnivice finished shooting a beam at his body, a card appeared. His eyes widened as he saw the card, which was titled, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu, and contained Type Jutsu. Before drawing any conclusions, he made the decision to test it. He took the card in his Omnivice and spoke softly. Goal. VULPAMON Fire Style Fireball Jutsu Digi, Modify. When Volpamon's eyes widened, she took a sharp breath and opened her mouth, letting out a ball of fire resembling Naruto's that nearly struck Renamon and Black Renamon before they were able to dodge it. Naruto. The 3 kitsune yelled. "I apologize," Naruto shouted, "but look at this." When I eventually managed to use the jutsu I was training, the Omnivice shot a light at me, creating this card. The card was examined by the 3. Type Jutsu? "I've never heard of a card being Type Jutsu," Black Renamon inquired. "I've never seen this before." Renamon said, "We should call the others and show them this." The 4 then hurried through the hallways, yelling for the others. Everyone looked at the card after they were reunited and explained what had happened. "Type Jutsu?" Palmon inquired. "That's precisely what I stated," Black Renamon said. "Maybe Azulongmon made it that way so when a tamer learns a jutsu, the Digivices produce a card out of it," Gatomon replied. "Let me try to use the card," replied Alex. "We must see if only the ones that learned the jutsu can use it or if it acts like a normal card." They returned to the training ground, and Alex prepared the card after preparing an image of Orochimaru. Fire Style Fireball Jutsu Digi. Modify. Lunamon looked at the image, inhaled sharply, and blasted a ball of fire at it, causing it to burn to ashes. "This is good," Alex remarked. "It means that other team members can use any jutsu we know if they have the card. Who should have it, I wonder?" Riku said, "Give it to Naruto for the time being. It's his. He distributes it to whomever he pleases." As he returned the card, Alex said, "Fair enough. Let's try using methods we already know and see if it has the same effect. I'll go first. Virus Claw. Infected Style." Alex's hand suddenly became a claw, and as his Digivice gleamed and scanned him, a card materialized. "Yup, Infected Style Virus Claw is a card now," Alex replied. "Why did it only begin now, I wonder? Why did it only affect now when you have been training with that jutsu for some time?" Hinata asked. "I am able to respond to that." The image of Azulongmon in the room caught everyone's attention. "I have been working on that program and I only sent it today," he said. "But it's fortunate that you found it." "I can see why you did this," Renamon replied. "It will force the tamers to work hard to get the cards." "That's right. This cards can only be made by hard work," Azulongmon said. Inquiry. "Will the cards still be created if we learn a jutsu without our Digivice with us?" Alex inquired. "No, it won't. Azulongmon stated, the jutsu must be performed on its front. Why didn't our digivices make a card like that, then? Riku inquired. Because it wasn't you. Azulongmon stated, the digivice only responds when you perform the jutsu. Bummer. Naruto said. Jean then performed a few hand signals. Jean is correct. It would function similarly to the Sharingan if it operated in any other manner. I think there are already enough jutsu stealers, Alex remarked. All of them nodded, but Azulongmon continued, saying, wait, if you get your hands in artifacts, weapons or other things like that, the digivice may create a card out of it. How? Naruto asked. Let me give it a shot, said Riku and then disappeared. When he appeared again, he had a giant shuriken in his hand and a new card. I got it. I only needed to keep the weapon close to the digivice. Look. They all glanced at the card, which read, Windmill Shuriken, and was type equipment. How about ointments and pills? Chakra pill, and type ointment appeared on a card when Hinata attempted to answer Renneman's question. It seems rather unfair that ointments and pills be classified as the same, but hey, whatever, Riku replied. Alex remarked, this opens untold possibilities. Could it work with vials containing poison? Yes. Azulongmon replied. Just like before, Naruto only has an impact on the party through the status cards. Only one target, which you must specify, is impacted by the others. After Jean made some hand signals, Palman said, Azulongmon. Sama. Jean wants to know why we didn't got more Digimon cards. Azulongmon said, well, turn it into a game. You might come across Digimons during your missions. You will receive that Digimon's card if you defeat it and take in its data. So only defeated Digimons. Alex replied, sure, looks fun. I'm all in. Falcoman, we're going to get a ton of Digimon, Riku shouted. Falcoman said, let's just hope we are not over ourselves. As the picture of Azulongmon vanished, the others nodded. Author style. Flashback without jutsu. Kai. Over the years, they have advanced. Riku learned how to use wind-style jutsu and wields 2 daggers in his wrist. Alex learned a little more of his powers and minor illusions. Jean trained in the sealing art and learned how to use a sword she always carries on her back, and Naruto perfected his fire element while also training the body to be a taijutsu, ninjutsu user. The largest obstacle was Hinata, who continued to struggle with the Jayuken even after her confidence was restored. Sarutobi was the one who discovered the problem. Author style. Flashback without jutsu. Sarutobi was observing Hinata as she performed the Jayuken-style katas once more, and he could see that she was not a good fit for that style. The Jayuken maintained a rigid stance and a strong pose, but Hinata was flexible, as if she were flowing. After giving it some thought, Sarutobi said to Hinata, stop that right away. He once said, stay here. What I am about to tell you is a secret that only your father knows, the old fool, he said to Hinata when he reappeared holding a scroll. There were multiple styles of Jayuken in the early Hyugas. He clarified, you see, over the years, the style you know as the Jayuken was the one that developed more, but there were others for people like you. As Hinata stared at him in confusion. You mean that people like me? And why do they no longer instruct them? Hinata asked. Well, to start with, have you ever pondered why you make mistakes with your Jayuken? This is because you are more flexible and the style you are learning emphasizes strength. As he opened a scroll, Sarutobi said, that means you are just unable to learn that style, but this one should do. The hard rock type is the style you were attempting to learn among your clan. The water-flowing type is the name of this one. It emphasizes an individual's adaptability. Give it a try. Hinata said, Hokage. Sama, how about my second question? I taught these kids too well, Sarutobi said, taking a deep breath. Well, I suppose I should tell you about Hazamashi Hyuga. Hinata looked perplexed, but he explained that the Hyugas were not always so focused on battle sense, and that the majority of them went on to become doctors or librarians. Byakugan can assist with these 2 tasks. But Hazamashi was brought up to be a hard rock ninja. He trained ferociously in an effort to strengthen himself, and he succeeded. He became the head of the clan. And his first choice was to murder anyone who used a Jayuken other than his own. The others were killed because they had no match. Then he declared that his was the real Jayuken and that no Hyuga should ever learn the other styles. Why would they allow it? Exclaimed Hinata. Why did the Hokage maintain this position? Because at the time, the Hyugas were a much-needed clan. Being the Hokage sometimes means sacrificing our morals in order to act in Konoha's best interests, Sarutobi said. With a sorrowful nod and a determined expression, Hinata said, I will master this, and make the other Hyugas see there is another way. Sarutobi grinned, realizing that he had made a wise choice in selecting Hinata. Author style. Kai's flashback without jutsu. Through her Byakugan, she was able to identify the issue before the symptoms could even speak for themselves, which led to her learning healing techniques. After a period of training to improve their natural status, the Digimons were impressed by the rigorous training regimens in this world and even felt the difference. Before Renamon showed up, Naruto was reflecting on all of this and how his life had changed. Naruto, we need to go, Sarutobi wants us at the hall. Naruto said, I will be there. The two then proceeded to the hallway. In the hallway, Sarutobi said, greetings, Hokage's hand. Hi, Hokage. Sama. With the exception of Jean, who merely grinned, the Hokage's hand yelled. I can tell that you have greatly improved over the years that you have been studying here, but it's time to find out if it was worthwhile. If you are the greatest of the best, I want to see it. I want to know if you are someone I can trust. So I ran a test, Sarutobi said. Riku said, what kind of test, Hokage? Sama. Sarutobi said, drawing startled looks from his students, a hard test, one that should you fail, will cost you your stay here. Standing with the Hokage's hand Wanabes in front of a fence enclosing a deep forest, Sarutobi declared, your test is simple but difficult. This is Training Ground 44, also known as the Forest of Death. Typically utilized for Chunin examinations because of its naturally hazardous flora and fauna, but also because it has strategic points that the most astute minds can employ. What will we do there, then? Riku inquired. You have to make it to the top floor of the center tower, where a scroll awaits you. I made it a little more difficult because it sounds simple when said that way. Initially, each tamer and its Digimon must enter through a separate gate. So, survival is a component of the test, correct? Alex inquired. That's right, you have to meet up at the tower. Once there, you have to infiltrate and ascend the tower without triggering any alarms or leaving a note of your presence, Sarutobi stated. That seems a bit too simple for an elite test, huh? Naruto said. Sarutobi said, we'll see about that. Now, you all have to pick a gate. You enter through the gate and arrive at the tower when I say, go. It was challenging, but Sarutobi could see that they were passing cards to each other as they selected a gate. These children have likely evaluated the situation and know which cards will be most helpful to them, so they are trading, but they are doing it in a way that keeps others from noticing. When they were all facing their own gate, Sarutobi shouted, go, and they dashed inside, prepared to take on whatever came their way. Author style. Naruto is the main character. Naruto kept running, with Renamon, Black Renamon, and Volpamon at his heels. They knew that something was waiting for them in the forest right now, and they were prepared. Now, as the four leapt in different directions, Naruto leapt up to the trees, Renamon leapt to the right, Black Renamon leapt to the left, and Volpamon leapt back. A black wolf from a bear's side landed where they were standing, and he proceeded to the nearest target, Volpamon, who was still in mid-jump. Volpamon, however, had already crossed her arms and was prepared. Crystal Storm. When she opened her arms, the wolf was skewered by the ice arrowheads that filled the air behind her. Never be depressed about wolves being solitary creatures, though, because as soon as a pack of 15 bear-sized wolves appeared, they all ran toward Volpamon, the only one they could see, and they all growled. Renamon and Black Renamon attacking from the sides where they were hiding, however, was something the wolves were not prepared for. Diamond Storm. Obsidian Storm. 10 of the wolves were instantly killed when arrowheads similar to Volpamon's, with black coming from the left and white from the right, struck them as the two yells were heard. The last 5 wolves managed to halt in time, but Naruto was prepared. Vulpamon Digi. Modify target. Great breakthrough wind style. Naruto performed some hand signals while Volpamon performed the jutsu. Fire style. Blaze ball jutsu. He then detonated a highly concentrated ball of fire, which had at least twice the power of the fireball. The only drawback was that it was typically slower, but when paired with a wind jutsu. Hellfire tornado jutsu. Collaborative jutsu. Both Naruto and Volpamon screamed. They had direct access to the tower because the majority of the forest in front of them was burned along with the wolves. The 3 kitsune drooled as Naruto said, I hope Hokage Sama won't get mad about this. For now, let's just move on. The others nodded as Renamon said, we have a tower to reach. Before long, they were rushing toward the tower once more. Author style. Alex is the main character. Lunamon, who was too small to run alongside Alex, perched on his shoulder as he jumped from tree to tree, and said in a very low voice, you know that something is going to attack us. Obviously, Alex said in a serious, disinterested voice. Lunamon whispered, and that whatever it is big. Alex said, evidently. What do you want from me? Lunamon asked. To jump to the right and hit him with your strongest attack, that will be enough, Alex replied. Lunaman said, so be it. As soon as she finished speaking, a big snake emerged from the ground, causing both Lunaman and Alex to leap in different directions. Lunaman turned and exclaimed, Lunar Claw. Alex pointed his arm, and the snake turned to face her, its eyes filled with pain and rage. Infected style. Viral spear. His hand turned to the spear's point as it filled with dark biomass, then he threw it back and jerked it forward, stretching its arm so that the spearhead struck the snake's head, causing it to fall and die. After glancing at him, Lunaman remarked, you know you should call that a harpoon, spear doesn't make sense. Perplexed, Alex turned to face her, harpoon? What's that? Forget it, it's from the other human world, Lunaman said, palming his face. It resembles a tiny spear with a rope attached so you can strike an object and draw it in your direction. Alex said, oh, yeah, it does work like that. But forget it. Lunaman leapt to Alex's shoulder as he nodded, and they started walking toward the tower. Character focus. Riku author style. Hey Riku, go more slowly. Falcoman remarked, you're moving far too quickly. Falcoman sighed and said, sorry pal, I just wish to get to the tower soon. In any case, keep in mind that this is the Forest of Death. Who knows what kind of creature might be out there trying to harm us? As soon as he finished speaking, a massive dragonfly flew in their direction with the intention of devouring them. Falcoman flew over the dragonfly as Riku ducked beneath it. Huh, look, this one is green-colored. My favorite. At least it is a bug, I can deal with that. Falcoman sighed after Riku finished speaking. You certainly can, and I'm available to assist you, with the aid of a card. Let's get started. Riku snatched up a card and screamed. Digi. Modify. Activate high-speed, Falcoman shouted, Ninja Blade. As he flew past the dragonfly at a high speed. Riku passed another card as he positioned himself behind the now shrieking dragonfly and struck it with a lot of shuriken. Digi. Modify. Dragon breathing jutsu fire style, he shouted, wind style. Windblade tornado jutsu. Simultaneously. And with that, he put his hands forward, forming a tornado with wind blades. The dragonfly in the center of the two attacks died, screeching as it went. Riku remarked, man, that is one very loud bug. Regardless, it was a good idea to trade cards with Naruto. Falcoman replied. It made killing this insect a lot easier. Yes, partner, hurry up. We still need to make it to the tower, Riku said. Author style. Hinata character focus. It was amazing how much Hinata had improved with her Byakugan, which was always active as she ran across the floor. Hinata remarked, there is something beneath us. Excellent. Either it's a worm or a mole. Gadaman pleaded, please let it be a mole. You don't like worms at all, do you? With amusement, Hinata asked. Gadaman remarked, as long as I don't have to touch them, I have no problem with them. Anyway, what kind of creature is it? Suddenly, a gigantic mole emerged from the ground and said, here is your answer. You are lucky, it's... Hinata waved a card in her hand and then used it as they both ran toward it. 8 protective trigrams, 64 palm guard digi, modify. The Hyuga and the cat were already at the mole's side as he was just beginning to understand what the hell was going on, and as they began spinning, the mole was torn apart by the force of 2 of those blows and fell into a pile of blood. Gadaman said, nasty, but effective. It's a shame that my family will never use this methods and teachings again. Hinata replied. What did I say to you? Those bigots will get what they deserve, a furious Gadaman yelled. Let's get this done now. After Hinata gave a nod, they both began to move in the direction of the tower. Author style. Jean is the character focus. Palman and Jean were running in silence, communicating with gestures. Said, Jean, this is too much quiet, Palman warned, it is. We'll need to exercise caution around here. Before long, they were confronted by a poisonous gas-filled swamp, and Jean made some hand signals. We might have a chance if I could put a cool seal down there. But how are you going to get there without the plant poisoning you? I have a plan. I write the seals in your hands, and then you use the card, antidote pill, to get through the toxic fog without getting poisoned. I activate the seal from a distance while you put your hands on the ground. It seems like a strategy. When the seals were finished, Palman leapt to the center of the fog while Jean activated the card, her digivice said in a robotic voice. Antidote pill activate digi. Modify. After that, Palman passed without any problems, followed instructions, and Jean turned on the seals, making the air breathable. We're glad Hinata gave us this card because it's very useful. With a nod from Jean, the two dashed in the direction of the tower. Character focus. Sarutobi author style. What are your thoughts? Asuma Sarutobi, Tenzo the Anbu, Kurenai Yuhi, Anko Midarashi, Kakashi Hitaki, and Maeda Guy were standing in his office, watching through the crystal ball when Sarutobi asked them who he trusted. The kids got survival skills, I will give them that, said Anko. And they seem to pack quite a power. Kakashi replied. And knowledge as well. I have never seen a girl that young use refreshing seals so young. Some masters of seals can't even do that seal correctly. Yosh. This is a very youthful team. They really are incredible examples of diligence, Hokage. Sama. You are reading the wrong kind of fanfiction if you are unable to guess who said that. They are quite impressive, it is a shame they don't have a genjutsu specialist, Kurenai replied. I believe that genjutsu is currently out of the question with the Hyuga on the team. The problem is, those partners of theirs are really strange, Asuma remarked. Yes, that is one of the reasons this unit will not be made public. But let's watch now, the second part is starting, Sarutobi remarked. The bigot fools in the council would try to get their greedy hands in more of these Digimons. The author's style has changed to, near the tower. At about the same moment, they all arrived at the tower's exterior. All right, are you prepared for this? What can you tell us? Naruto asked, turning to Hinata as the others nodded. There are 6 levels, counting the floor level, Hinata stated, wielding the Byakugan. Anbu swarm the entrance. 50, if I'm right. Riku pointed to Naruto and said, that is with you, Foxy. You and your girls are the ones that deal with big numbers. There are numerous traps and seals on the second level. Jean gave Hinata's affirmation a nod, saying, I think Jean and I can handle that. The third level is a maze of sorts, and there are some Anbu. 13 on the entire floor. I think it is obvious that that is my thing, Alex replied. I can pass unnoticed and take care of the guards. The fourth level comes next. I can't really tell from here, but it has a lot of cameras and mechanisms that should fire Senbon or Kunai, but they're all out of reach. Let Riku handle that. He and I have the best aim, Falcoman remarked. We shoot if you give us the location. The fifth level is now available. It appears to be an arena with Digimons present, Hinata remarked. Naruto remarked, Azulongmon must have assisted Sarutobi with this plan. What about the sixth level? An empty room with the scroll. This seems too simple, Naruto reflected. They are only experimenting with survival and infiltration. Ninjas are more than just infiltrators and survivalists. I agree, Alex replied. Something tells me this is going to be tougher than we expect. There's only one way to know. Naruto, hurry up. The girls and you go first, Riku said. Anbu rushed towards the tower from all sides as soon as Naruto and the Vixens nodded, and then Naruto slashed a card. Digi. Modify. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Target. Blackrenamon. I Volpaman, I Renamon, 40 Narutos, and 10 Black Renamon clones appeared in the room as Naruto performed his own Shadow Clone Jutsu. When the others turned to face Naruto's clones, he exclaimed, What? That's as little as I can make. The Anbu attempted to attack, but they were swiftly defeated by a flurry of Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu, Obsidian Storm, Crystal Storm, and Diamond Storm, hit all Anbu before they could react. They were left unconscious with various wounds and tied. They couldn't kill this ones, they were still Hokage's Anbu. As soon as they were down, Naruto turned to those outside. Come on, first level completed. All right, we're heading straight for the second level. As she and Jean ascended the stairs, Hinata said, leaving the other members of the team waiting because they would only obstruct their path. There is a seal in the door, Hinata said, activating the Byakugan as soon as she got close. It has a cross in the center and is shaped like a square. Right here, then she gestured toward the door. That is useful, Hinata said as Jean grabbed a brush and ink and began drawing symbols without touching the seal. Jean then grabbed a bit of powder and threw it at the door. When she finished, the symbols shown in the seal vanished before Hinata could ask. Well done. But there's a lot more in there, okay, there are several similar seals there. Hinata pointed to the wall to her right and said, There, she then pointed to the floor. There, and there, she said, gesturing to the ceiling. But first, let me deal with the traps, she said, pointing lastly to the door. There were a variety of traps, including wires, glue traps, pressure tablet traps, and leg hold traps. Luckily, Hinata was prepared for them all and disarmed each one individually before turning to Jean and saying, All right, go. As before, Jean would go sprinkle some dust, then use her expertise to disarm the seal, and then she would shout, Clear. As he went through them with Lunaman still perched on his shoulder, Alex said, Okay, my turn. He reached out and saw that there were 3 options from the start, and he had to select one. This was made recently. Alex replied, look, there are marks on the floor. So, Lunaman asked. Just stating a fact, nothing more. I'm just getting a little impatient. This is too simple, as Naruto stated. It was designed so we could pass. Not at all. Just check to see if we've learned, Lunaman said. However, I believe this test is more complex than we are currently understanding. As he began to move in the center, Alex said, be careful. He used a card after using his thermal vision to see how to get to the Anbu. Digi. Modify. Thermal vision. Infected style. They parted ways, each going in a different direction to deal with the Anbu, even though Lunaman had the same vision. Lunaman primarily used the Lunar Claw and Teardrop to swiftly render her adversaries helpless. Because Alex's abilities were frequently lethal, he had to exercise extreme caution to avoid killing. In order to knock out his enemies, he either used genjutsus like Temple of Nirvana and Dreamless Sleep or his claws. Third floor is done. Riku grumbled, finally, you guys took an eternity there. It was only 15 minutes at best, Riku. They did their best and now it is our turn, said Falcoman. Hinata grinned as she followed the pair. Those two were constantly debating something, and their opinions were never in agreement. However, they never once got angry with one another. In fact, their differences made them closer than most people would realize. Hinata used the Byakugan as soon as they entered the room. Quick! Left and up, in the corner, exclaimed Riku as he leapt and hurled a shuriken. Falcoman destroyed that one with Ninja Blade. In the middle of the room, on the floor. Riku said, over there, right on the middle of the wall. Using some kunai. Falcoman used Ninja Blade. Once more and exclaimed, above the door, before the cameras vanished. Riku shouted, fourth floor cleaned. Falcoman exclaimed, hardly. There are pieces of cameras everywhere. Oh come on. They are so tiny that you can hardly see them. Besides, I meant it is safe, replied Riku. Well in that case you are right, though we don't know yet what this last level has for us. Falcoman replied. They entered the arena room after climbing the stairs. They were aware that Chunin exam preliminary sessions were held there every other year, and that too many students advanced to the final round. They saw 5 Digimons staring at them as they walked in. Naruto grabbed his digital device. Alright, the one in the middle is Goatman, champion-level Digimon that has a guardian role in the Digimon world. Attacks are Mystic Bell and Milky Erode. My turn. The tall one is a Fugamon, champion-level with a tendency to be brute and stupid. Attacks are Evil Hurricane and Heavy Swing. That is one nasty dude, Riku replied. Airdramon, champion-level Winddrake that likes to bite more than he can chew. Attacks are God Tornado, Spinning Needle and Windcutter, Alex replied. Well, I got Chameleonman. Champion level with the ability to turn invisible. Attacks are Tongue Lashing and Wide Eye, Hinata replied. When Jean turned on her Digivice, it spoke in a metal voice, Baronman. Champion level. Fire preference. Attacks are Meteor Dance and Pyrokinesis. Riku questioned, what is supposed to happen now? Are we to fight them all? Goatman replied, yay, with rules. Look at the screen. 2 names will show up, and the first 2 will fight. They all stared at the screen, and before long, Jen and Chameleomon appeared. Just as Jean was ready to jump down, Goatman screamed, no. The only one who can proceed is your Digimon. Alex said, so, this is to test how good a tamer we are. Jean then went to Hinata and exchanged 1 card with her before moving to her spot. Jean, go get him. You are the greatest, Palman grinned at that, knowing that Jean liked Riku because his boisterous and gregarious demeanor had captivated her since the start. Riku yelled, causing the quiet girl to blush. Then Chameleomon appeared to be a huge pervert. Wait, he was. Palman went down, prepared to confront her opponent. The battle continues until the victor swallows the loser. Are you ready? Start, Goatman shouted. Chameleonman vanished as soon as he did, and although Palman didn't see anything, she did feel a lick in her butt, which strengthened her resolve. This fucker was going down. In a fit of rage, Falcoman said, how dare that freaking pervert do that to Palman? Chan? Permit me to attack him. Palman. Chan? Asked Riku, causing the bird Digimon to flush completely. Stop talking. We're friends, shouted an ashamed bird. Furthermore, that is irrelevant. Do you really believe that this should continue? Oh don't worry, Falcoman. Hinata said, that Chameleomon is going down if Jean uses the card she just received from the trade. Even though Falcomon's response made her feel a little better, she still didn't like her position in the arena, so she decided to use an attack that she usually doesn't because it gives the Palmons a bad image. Seeing no other choice, she turned to the enemy and yelled. A certain Palmon was losing it in the arena. That freak would hit her ass with his tongue and then laugh about it. A disgusting assault. The stench of the flower on Palmon's head filled the arena, and when Chameleonman collapsed to the ground, his nose held high, Palmon took advantage of the situation to unleash Poison Ivy and ensnare the adversary within her bushes. Chameleonman writhed in agony as she repeatedly chastised him for the humiliation. He turned to face her, though, and said, "Wide-eye." Suddenly, Palmon looked at the eyes of Chameleonman and felt pain surge through her like a fire. "Hog. You slut, it's not bad." As he vanished once more, Chameleonman remarked, "But now you won't get me twice with the same trick." Jean used a card just as Palmon was ready to yell into the air. Digi. Modify. Activate Byakugan mode. Palmon turned around, grabbed the tongue, and screamed. Plant shock. As she smirked and saw the Chameleonman standing behind her, poised to hit her ass once more. Jean received the Chameleonman card, but let's just say that Chameleonman was fried. The board then began to spin once more, with Riku and Airdramon this time being the chosen. Palmon gave Falcomon a cheek kiss as he was leaving for the arena and said, "Good luck, Falcomon." Falcomon was obviously much redder than usual. "This is it?" sneered Airdramon. "A small bird? I feel sorry for you. Can we begin this now, then? I'm having chicken for lunch." "I am a falcon, just so you know, not a chicken, and before you pass judgment on me, consider what Palmon did to your friend. I'm going to do the same to you," Falcomon shouted. "Are you ready? Go." Goatman shouted. Falcomon hurled Ninja Blade at his opponent, who did his best to avoid the attacks. Airdramon then yelled, "God Tornado." The force of the tornado's breath threw Falcomon away, and he rubbed his head, visibly lightheaded. Riku didn't waste any time. Digi. Modify. Activate Focus Bill. Falcomon instantly regained his focus, and Riku used another card as he did. Digi. Modify. Activate Power surged through Falcomon, who leapt and screamed, "Firecracker Smokescreen." And he threw a bamboo at Airdramon. Hit exploded upon contact, but Falcomon wasn't over. Flying towards the beast, he yelled, "Scratch Smash." Airdramon was obviously furious as he scratched his face. "This is your demise, pal," Riku shouted as he got two cards ready. Digi. Modify. Shuriken Windmill Explosive tags in Digi. Modify. Now holding the windmill shuriken in his hands, Falcomon threw it toward Airdramon, who roared as the weapon stabbed him deep in the chest, but he was still alive. "Ha, you failed." As Airdramon became acutely aware of the paper tags in the windmill, Falcomon responded, "No, it just takes some time for those things to work." Riku received Airdramon's card after Airdramon was destroyed. "So, should I evade or are you going to have me block him?" Lunaman asked Axel after Alex vs. Goatman. Alex said, "Avoid and kill." "You got it." Goatman, who had previously served as a sort of jury, soon entered the arena after Lunaman leapt down to the game. "All right, start now if you're ready," and with that shout, he charged at her while brandishing his horns. Alex used a card as Lunaman leapt aside. Infected Style. Viral Spear Jutsu Digi. Modify. Without wasting any time, Lunaman struck Goatman with the spear, causing the poor goat to fall but not die due to the strength of the jutsu. "That is weird, normally he would already be dead," Alex replied. "It's time to step it up," Goatman said. "My armor is a bit tougher than that." The Mystic Bell. Lunaman gripped her head as the bell rang, feeling pain shoot through her. She wasn't alone. All of the tamers and their partners felt the assault, and for some reason, the sound hurt. "Attack the bell, Lunaman!" Alex shouted. Unable to move her arms, Lunaman shouted, "Tear shot!" and struck the bell. The powerful pulse caused the bell to fall from Goatman. Goatman said, "Oh completed." Alex used a card and yelled. Digi. Modify. Jutsu Sealing. Seal tearing as Lunaman struck the floor with her hands, a seal materialized. From the seal, multiple hands emerged, grabbing various parts of Goatman's body and literally tearing him apart. Then Lunaman approached him and remarked, "I think you overdid it." Upon examining his recently acquired Goatman card, Alex remarked, "It worked, and the guy gave me a headache." Next up was Hinata vs. Baronman. She grinned, eager to prove herself, and Gataman leapt to his feet, shouting, "I don't need help beating you. Bring it on." Baronman said, "Don't be so arrogant. You might end up dead. Now let's get started." Lightning Paw. exclaimed Gadaman as he leapt to him, and hit Baronman with her paws. Baronman stumbled a bit, but soon yelled, "Pyrokinesis," and struck the ground. Gadaman was perplexed until a column of flames appeared where she stood. She managed to avoid it, with the exception of her now burning tail. Baronman noticed that there was no response to that and inquired, "You're going to freak out, aren't you?" Gadaman said calmly, "My brain didn't catch up with the situation in a second." "Oh wow wow. Get it out," she shouted as she rolled on the ground. Hinata took a card while the tamers perspired. Lunaman. Digi. Modify. Tear shot. Gadaman pivoted, deploying the tear shot to put out the flames. Once that was done, she turned to glare at Baronman. I'm going to kill you." "It doesn't appear to be." The meteor dance. Then Baronman began to dance strangely, and meteors began to fall toward Gadaman from above him. Digi. Modify. Activate high speed. "Thank you," yelled Gadaman as she avoided the various meteors, running as hard as she could to do it. Once Baronman stopped, she was exhausted. He came and said, "Any last word?" Baronman said, "Yeah, look at my eyes." She added, "Cat-eye hypnotism," and Baronman was left staring there, hypnotized. Then she jumped in the air and yelled, "Nako kick," and hit Baronman in the head. As Baronman was dizzy, she yelled, "Lightning paw." It didn't take any more beatings for Baronman to disperse into data. With just one Digimon left, Fugamon was unable to contain his commentary as the three girls descended. 3 for 1, what a lucky bastard I am, and very lovely. "You know what happened to your perverted friend, right?" The three Kitsune scowled. Renaman asked. Black Renaman said, "Good, because you will feel much worse. You're falling." Volpaman shouted. "Not quite, you see, I also brought some friends. Come on, Ogremon and Hyogamon," Fugamon shouted. Before long, there were 3 Digimons on one side of the arena, 3 on the other, and the odds were not on the girls' side. But Naruto wasn't a slacker. Target. Defense. Activate Party Digi. Modify. The 4 of them stood motionless as Ogremon moved toward Renaman, attempting to draw first blood, and the girls realized instantly what this action meant. Be on the defensive and observe the opponent. Renaman, on the other hand, was much faster and managed to dodge his blows. As she did so, she noticed that Black Renaman was facing Fugamon and Hyugamon was facing Volpaman. They all had one thing in common. They were powerful but slow, and a single blow was too severe to be taken. Seeing that they had it under control, Naruto chose to assist Renaman in completing her fight first. Renaman Digi. Modify. Shadow Clone Jutsu as the target. Ogremon was beginning to reconsider his options before attacking, and he managed to destroy 2 of the 10 Renaman clones before being severely struck by the Diamond Storm barrage. Turning to Volpaman, Renaman and her clones hurried to assist him. As soon as Volpaman saw the plan, she grinned and leapt when 3 Renaman clones ran to Hyogamon and yelled, "Power Paw!" Hyogamon retreated a few steps after being struck by 1 Crystal Storm. Hyogamon vanished along with the clones. The 2 Kitsunes then turned to her final adversary, who chose to back off after realizing what had happened. Naruto had different ideas. Renaman Digi. Modify. Fire Style. Fireball Jutsu Target. BLACKRENAMON Digi. Modify Target. Phoenix Flower Jutsu Fire Style. VULPAMON Digi. Modify Target. DRAGIN Breathing Jutsu Fire Style. The 3 Kitsunes simultaneously exclaimed, "This is life's way to say you're fired," as they were getting ready. There have never been words more accurate. They discovered the scrolls after racing up the stairs. They opened the scroll when Hinata decided it was safe to do so. Only Naruto was able to speak after they had finished reading. "You must be joking, you passed the first, second, and third sections of the test, survival, infiltration, and digital battle. If you are reading this. However, it is not yet finished. As of right now, I have dispatched 5 ambush squads, each consisting of 5 members, with the goal of apprehending you, the tower's invaders. On the other side of the village, at the Akamichi's clan house, I might have alluded to a problem. You understand what this means. In the 4th section, you have to set up traps so that only 5 or fewer Anbu will reach the top in 30 minutes. If you fail, the test itself is a failure. You have access to the floors and their inherent traps. I gave one of them a scroll as well. Your last task will appear once you retrieve that scroll. Your tactical and defensive abilities will be put to the test because you might find yourself surrounded and forced to deal with the adversaries. However, avoid killing the Anbu for the benefit of the village. I can see everywhere in the village with my crystal ball, so you might wonder how I know when to send the Anbu. No, I'm not going to tell you what you'll do with it in the future. Best of luck. Sarutobi. The nerve, Riku exclaimed. And here I thought we got to head back. Naruto exclaimed. I knew it was too easy. Alright, I will take the first floor. With my skill at trap making and the girls helping me, it will be done in no time. Very well, me and Jean will take the second floor, replied Palman. I will take third floor, but I need to trade for that shadow clone card from you Naruto and if I could the stunning gas capsule, Hinata. Alex replied. After that, Alex, Hinata, and Naruto exchanged cards. He then displayed the scrolls and said, me and Falcoman get the fourth. We have some wall cameras on these scrolls. And I think we can make the connection from our cameras to those kunai and senbon throwers just like the old cameras were. Riku replied. I will take the fifth floor. Me and Gataman have some herbs that when burned create a poisonous fog, not lethal but enough to drain the strength and will of an opponent. Hinata replied. Then we are set. Let's go, exclaimed Naruto. Author style. Hokage is the main character. Very well, it seems like they are starting. Tenzo, go select the teams and prepare to be surprised, Sarutobi replied. Before he vanished, Tenzo said, Hi, Hokage, Sama. As for the rest of you, that will be enough. Go prepare yourselves, Sarutobi replied. Anko pouted and said, What, can't we see the fourth part? Asuma said, Yeah, father. Just this once? Have you seen what these guys are capable of? We will need the extra time, Kakashi replied. Yosh. I will do some workouts as I wait the time, exclaimed Might Guy. I hope I get the quiet girl, somehow, even Hinata frightens me, Kurenai replied. The Junins then departed the room. Sarutobi glanced back at the crystal ball. I wish you luck. Author style. 30 minutes later in time. After running, the 25 Anbu arrived at the tower exhausted. Okay. Listen up. A cat. Masked Anbu cried. The Hokage said that some unidentified ninja had taken over this tower. Why they want this tower is unknown, but we got to take them out. Keep your guard up, we have no idea what kind of enemy we are dealing with. Focus. Tamers. Author style. Character. The 5 tamers and their Digimons watched the Anbu enter the building and converse through a monitor on the last floor. Good thing you had enough cameras to put them in other rooms, this is going to be fun, Naruto replied. Totally, Riku said. Alex remarked, Shoo, I want to see if the traps works. Jean watched them walk in, trying not to laugh. Even if they survived, some of those Anbus would regret going into the tower, and she was certain that the traps would be successful. Here they come, Hinata exclaimed. Character focus, Anbu author style. The Anbus entered the first floor and nearly laughed when they saw some wire traps that were too obvious. Anbu wearing a lizard mask inquired, Is this the best this ninja could come up? I did best in the academy, this is easy. Careful, something is not right here. Anbu, wearing a cat mask, cautioned. The same Anbu said, Yeah, right, come on guys, let's show pussy. Chan how this is done. As he and his squadron continued to move away from the wires. However, one of them stepped on a pressure tablet in the middle of the wires, and 2 of them were struck by syringes containing paralyzing poison. They fell and struck the wires, which caused a sticky substance to fall on the Anbu. Their 5 companions were now glued to the floor and to each other, so they weren't going anywhere, and the other Anbus watched in disbelief. Anbu, the cat, sighed. I told you something was not right, they made it obvious so we would let our guard down. Watch out, guys. The poor bastards were left in the room while the rest of the Anbu shouted, Hi, as they passed by. Focus. Tamers. Author style. Character. Naruto was disappointed and said, Oh man, only 5? I thought we would get at least 2 squadrons of this guys. Nonetheless, good job. If all the other rooms work this well, we won't have to deal with any survivors, Alex replied. That was awesome. How did you get that substance? Riku responded. Let's just say that my culinary skills suck. Naruto exclaimed. Now shut up, it's Jean's time. Author style. Anbu is the main character. Looking around, the cat Anbu said, Okay, what the hell is with these plants? There were tiny plants all over the room, each with just 1 leaf. One of the Anbu remarked, I don't know, but they sure smell nice. As they crossed the room, the cat Anbu exclaimed, Yes, but it is probably poisonous. Be watchful, at them. With the exception of the final 5, when one of them stepped on a plant, almost everyone passed without any issues. As he attempted to remove his foot from the plant, the Anbu exclaimed, Ups, but was unable to do so. The plant was adhered to his foot. What the Anbu felt his chakra being sucked away as the plant grew, and before he could say anything more, a seal appeared on it. Another Anbu screamed, "Fuck," and fell back, only to become another casualty of the doomsday plants. The Anbu were becoming more and more glued as their energy was being depleted, and soon the group of plants was expanding. The other Anbu turned and were startled to see that the same tiny plants that had previously occupied the entire room had now grown to the point where they could fully enlist a fully grown human. The cat Anbu said, "Shit, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, listen up, this enemy is unpredictable and has more than a few tricks up his sleeve, be watchful." As they went on, the Anbu shouted, "Hi, character focus. Tamers is the author's style." Naruto exclaimed, "What the hell was that?" Palman said, "Those were the glue leaves. According to what I have read, they are normally from Kumogakure. They stick to something and it is very hard to free yourself from them. The seals suck the chakra from the person and give it to the plant, making it grow." Alex questioned, "How did you put seals in those plants?" Jean responded with a series of hand signals. Alex gasped. Riku asked, "You are telling me that if you put water, those plants lose all their sticky abilities for 10 minutes? Jean nodded. Then he grinned and gave her a hug. "That was awesome. You were amazing, girl." Jean's face turned a deep scarlet. Their display made the others laugh. They were all aware that they had licked each other, but one of them was too timid and the other was just plain foolish. In any case, they were aware that they would eventually be together. "Ho ho ho, level 3, let's see what you prepared, Alex," Naruto exclaimed. Author style. Anbu is the main character. The cat Anbu remarked, "I didn't know there was a labyrinth here." Another Anbu said, "Maybe they did it," after saying, "No, I don't think so. On the other hand, you might be right. Let's just hope that there are no more traps here. Let's separate." The Anbus departed. Some of them discovered an innocent looking Lunaman in an alley. After throwing the gas capsule, Lunaman exclaimed, "I am just here to tell you that you are screwed. Bye-bye," and knocked them all out. 5 more people had fallen by the time the Anbu gathered at the end of the labyrinth. The cat Anbu said, "This is becoming a nightmare. We have only been in 3 floors and already we lost 3 squads. If we keep this up we won't have enough for the final floor." One of the Anbu asked, "What should we do?" The cat Anbu exclaimed, "Well, it is obvious we can't go back, might as well see if we can take this guy on," before she and the others bounded upstairs. Character focus. Tamers is the author's style. Naruto remarked, "That was so simple yet effective." Alex said, "Thanks, but there are still 2 teams. Let's see if our traps can make a record," Falcoman replied Riku. "Shoo, they're getting to the 4th floor," Hinata exclaimed. Character focus. Anbu author style. When they arrived at the final room, it was completely empty. They made the decision to try to leave, but all of a sudden they were being hit by darts that contained some sort of knockout poison. Anbu and 4 other cats managed to get away, but the others were unable to. "Damn, Anbu," the cat cried. "Another squad. This is starting to freak me out." Author style. Focus on characters. Tamers. "Nice," Naruto exclaimed. "But you stole my idea." "No, I didn't. Your idea used 2 darts, mine used a rain of them," Riku replied. "And somehow mine hit both the intended targets while yours didn't," said Naruto. "Would you guys shut up? There is Hinata's room left," Alex replied. Author style. Anbu is the main character. One of the Anbus said, "You open it." They were in front of the 5th floor entrance, and now. "No, you open it," exclaimed an additional Anbu. The cat Anbu screamed, "Would you guys just decide which is going to open the damn door? Why don't you do it, Taicho?" The 2 frightened Anbus suggested. She opened the door and activated a seal in her mask as she said, "Fine, just stay back," as every last Anbu fell. Aside from that one, they were encircled by the most repulsive odors. "I'm glad I used the seal in my mask because I knew it. Did these guys forget to activate their own? They call themselves Anbu." As Anbu entered the room, she thought about the can. She opened the door after climbing a few more stairs. Behind them stood 7 strange creatures, most likely summons, and 4 children. The blonde one clapped his hands together. "Very nice, Anbu-san, very nice." The child with green hair said, "You did well to make it this far." Alex said, "We have to eliminate you." The girl with the pink hair merely nodded. The Anbu tensed, but it fell from the ceiling onto an enraged Hyuga, striking her so repeatedly that she was unable to move. Gataman said, "Geez Hinata, what is wrong?" Hinata had a furious expression. "All the others' traps knocked out 5 Anbu, but mine only knocked out 4. No fair." The other future Hokage's hand members gasped in shock. O.K. Let's just see if this Anbu is the one with the instructions for the next part so we can get the hell out of here, replied Naruto. They looked around and discovered that it was. The scroll read, they took it. Congratulations on your success once more, but the real test is about to begin. I'll meet you atop the Hokage's tower. There, you will encounter your most difficult obstacle. The others and Naruto exchanged glances. Riku said, what do you think it will be? Alex said, whatever it is tough. Maybe we will have to face the Hokage. Naruto said, what, no, at least, I hope not. Hinata said, whatever it is, we better be prepared guys, because it is going to be tough. After giving this a nod, the others vanished. The Hokage's tower at the summit. Sarutobi was awaiting the hand of his soon-to-be Hokage. He was certain they would pass this final test after witnessing their use of the crystal ball. He had to wait, then. Before long, the group suddenly materialized in front of him. Sarutobi said, well done. It is time for your final test. After that, he gestured toward a table that he had some Chunin carry to the summit of the tower. There were 5 envelopes on the table. Each one has a photo of one Chunin that is considered my elite. Each of you must choose an envelope and the person you get is your target. So we have to defeat them. Again, no killing, right? Riku responded. Exactly, Riku. You must face this ninja and be careful, each have their own expertise and will not be afraid to use it. Sarutobi replied. Your job is to take care of them in 2 hours. Fail to do so, and all the group fails, as I will not have an incomplete group. With that it means you will return to your previous homes and families. Everyone stiffened in fear and anxiety, which was the desired response, that ought to inspire them. Hinata said, I have a question. Yes? The Hokage inquired. Are we allowed time to trade cards before we face our opponent? As each person received an envelope, Sarutobi said, yes, but no more than 10 minutes, then you must go on your Chunin hunt. Understood? Go get the envelopes. After that, they quickly exchanged cards before leaving. Author style. Anko is the main character. Enjoying her dango, Anko hoped that her opponent would arrive soon. A strange-looking spear stabbed her dango and vanished just as she was reaching for her final stick. As she watched its movements, she noticed a child with the most peculiar arm, the strange-looking black spear, in fact. A white creature sat on top of his shoulder, laughing at the startled expression Anko was making. In a single bite, Alex devoured the dango after grabbing the stick. Anko became enraged. How dare you steal my dango? Alex said, I was hungry. Anko looked at him incredulously. Anko exclaimed, that is it? Anko Midarashi became even more enraged when Alex failed to respond to the question, you stole dango from me, Anko Midarashi, because you were hungry? You daigaki? As Anko leapt and prepared to strike, Lunaman yelled, teardrop, and struck Anko in the chest. In addition to destabilizing Anko, this gave Alex the opportunity to leap to her while shouting, infected style. Power mass punch, as his hands became so full of biomass that they appeared to be black. Anko struck a tree after being propelled by the powerful blow. She asked herself, who am I facing, Guy or Tsunade? After experiencing a splitting headache. I'm out if this Gaki hits me once more. Alex slashed a card as she stood up. Digi. Modify. Activate high speed. That was not for show, as Anko soon discovered, as the tiny white runt began to claw at her face and chest, causing her to jump and lift herself off the ground in order to avoid the little monster. Alex ran toward her, infected style. Viral claw. As she descended from her leap and attempted to stab her, but all he got was a piece of wood. Lunaman said, Alex, come on, you shouldn't kill her. This was to force her to substitute, so I could prepare the next moves. Alex murmured. Up until now, the strategy is working. She was so angry she kept making mistakes. We have the advantage, but don't let it get over your head. If we don't take her seriously, we will not only fail, we will doom the others. Lunaman tensed. If she were the reason for failing this test, she would be embarrassed to face the others. As he slashed another card, she prepared herself. Fuma Shuriken Digi. Modify. The enormous shuriken was now in Lunaman's grasp, ready to be hurled at any opponent. Alex then turned on his thermal vision. He muttered, down, get ready. Then he jumped as the ground exploded beneath him, releasing 4 snakes. Alex exclaimed, now, as Lunaman hurled the Fuma Shuriken, Anko had to defend herself by using mud style, mud wall. As it sliced through the serpents, she heard infected style, viral spear. As soon as the mud wall collapsed, and she had to replace herself with a log once more because it was split in two. Alex exclaimed, "Jump!" as Lunaman leapt from his shoulder and a snake passed where she was standing. Anko woke up when Alex grabbed the snake and pulled. Lunaman slashed another card as he collapsed onto Anko. Digi. Modify. Shoot ropes. After that, Lunaman quickly tied Anko, leaving her on the ground and wriggling as she attempted to escape. What the fuck? You can't escape this ropes. They're capture ropes used by the Anbu themselves. There is no way for you to escape, Alex replied. How? Anko said. Alex grabbed Anko and walked back to the tower, saying, "You are pathetically predictable. Especially when you are in rage. That is why I won." Author style. Might Guy with a character focus. Might Guy was unaware that two people were observing him while he performed his push-ups. The only warning he received was when a root grew out of the ground and nearly gutted him if his unrealistic speed hadn't saved him. Palman let out a sigh. Even with our earth manipulation being silenced by your seals, he was able to evade us. Guy gave them a perplexed look before a broad smile spread across his face. Yosh, you are my hunters today, right? Palman said awkwardly, "Huh, yeah, that is why we tried to gut you." Yosh, we shall engage in hot-blooded battle. Come my hunters, let's show our flames of youth. Jean went pale. She then made some hand signals while facing Palman. Palman let out a sigh. I wish we could kill him, but we can't. We have to defeat him and bring him to the Hokage's tower. Guy yelled, "No, my enemies are affected by hip actitude. I must bring them back to the flames of youth," after displaying shock. Guy suddenly materialized in front of Jean and delivered a spinning kick at a speed she was unprepared to handle. Palman was so enraged that she yelled, "Poison Ivy," and attempted to attack Guy after Jean was flung into the air. Guy used his hand to deflect the blow before attempting to knee Palman in the face. That wouldn't sit well with Jean. Wind style, Wine Tower Jutsu Digi, modify. Palman sighed with relief as a cyclone surrounded him and Guy was thrown away. Palman grabbed her pumping chest and admitted, that was too close for comfort. Before long, Guy got up from the floor. Dynamic entry, he yelled as he leapt toward Palman. His blow was so quick that it went right through the cyclone and struck Palman in the face. Palman shouted, "Ow," as she landed. She glared at Guy as she ascended. Okay, no more nice Palman, hit it, Jean. Jean began doing hand signs after slashing a card. Sealing Jutsu. Angle Seal Digi. Modify. The world abruptly stopped, and a line connecting Palman and Guy emerged. When Jean finished her hand signals and a line connecting Guy and Jean appeared, Guy was about to inquire as to what was happening. Then a number, 90, appeared as the two lines shone. Subsequently, the lines vanished, and Guy experienced an intense physical strain, as if the earth were pulling him with greater force. Guy questioned, "What is happening? Since my sealing friend cannot answer you, I will try to explain. The angle seal is a seal that must be done by two persons and creates an angle between those persons and the target. Depending on the angle, it raises the power of gravity, being that it is maximized at the angle 90 and is null at 180 and 0. You should be feeling the power of gravity at 10 times its own weight," explained Palman. Guy smiled after being startled. As he exclaimed, "Yosh! Then I shall fight you in gravity. No more holding back." He took off his weights. Time to get serious. Palman watched in disbelief as the weights dropped to the ground, leaving a massive crater in their wake. Turning to face Jean, Palman said, "Tell me we have a seal to force more gravity." Jean gave a headshake. Palman swallowed. Somehow, I already knew the answer. Palman was ever more appreciative of the angle seal because it made him fightable when Guy attempted another spinning kick. Guy was still a Junin master of taijutsu, though, so even though he was now moving at a Chunin's speed, he could still perform amazing taijutsu moves, and poor Palman was beginning to feel the heat. Jean's situation remained unchanged. She had been attempting to assist, but the taijutsu expert was demonstrating his ability to fight multiple opponents. For example, he would stand on his hands and make a fan-like motion with his legs, or he would use one hand to protect his back from one of her punches while raising his leg to block Palman's attack. With this Junin, she was beginning to lose her mind. She was in a race against time. Palman chose to launch her special attack because she was also in a panic. "Jean, watch out, stinking attack." The clearing was filled with the stench. After leaping away, Jenna used a seal tag she carried with her to purge the air around her. After the stench's fog lifted, Guy was discovered unconscious on the ground, muttering things like, "the unyouthfulness," and having a shocked expression on his face. Palman let out a sigh. Finally, "I really hate to use that attack, but I hate this guy's screams even more." As they brought the startled Junin to the Hokage, Jean nodded. Character focus. Kurenai author style. Kurenai shuddered. She was already regarded as an elite member of the Junin community, but she only recently became a Junin. The Hokage trained these children. She couldn't possibly beat them. Only one of them, though, frightened her. Hinata used to be friends with Kurenai, who taught her how to control her chakra and stay away from genjutsu when her father ignored her. But now, only a battle. Harden Kunoichi could identify the sweet girl. She was the one she was aiming for. Hinata and Gadaman materialized in front of her as she was thinking that. Hinata smiled sadly. Hello, Kurenai. Sensei. Kurenai said, Hinata. You can hardly call me a sensei. I barely teached you anything that you use now. Oh, you did. The healing ointments you taught me and the chakra control you had me train have been most helpful, so I became what I am. I have to thank you for that and for being my friend before I went to the Hokage's hand, said Hinata with a grin. I hope you are enjoying it. Are you kidding me? Hinata exclaimed, grinning broadly this time. It have been the best moments of my life. I can hardly wait to show you what I can do. But it saddens me that I have to defeat you. Kurenai grinned. With more preparation for battle, Hinata remained the same lovely girl as before. Don't worry, let's just do our best, okay? After giving a nod, Hinata switched on the Byakugan and assumed her new Jiyuken position. Kurenai readied herself with a kunai in her hands. As she prepared herself, Gadaman appeared to smile. Kurenai was suddenly trapped between Gadaman's lightning paw and Hinata's Jiyuken stabbing motions. It was a brutal combination. Gadaman would leap over Hinata while she was stabbing and perform the lightning paw. When Gadaman hit the ground, Hinata would resume the blows, pushing her back in the process. Kurenai knew she was in serious trouble when she suddenly found herself up against a tree. Kurenai was replaced with a log when Hinata and Gadaman were about to strike simultaneously. Damn! So close! Exclaimed Gadaman. Hinata said, Don't worry, Gato. Chan. We can still get her. Gatman turned to face her and grinned. Gadaman said, Gato. Chan. Where did that come from? As Hinata was about to respond, Gadaman began acting strangely, making her turn beet red. She locked as if she was trying to concentrate, then dashed to the middle of the clearing, shouted, Lightning paw, and began to beat the air. Hinata was about to ask, what? When she sensed the effects of a genjutsu. But she broke the genjutsu by using the Byakugan. However, she could see that Gadaman would require assistance because Kurenai was sprinting toward her, prepared to take down the cat that wasn't actually there. Hinata yelled, Gato. Chan, watch out, it's Dogmon, since she had no other choice. The impact was immediate. Kurenai was about to strike her when Gadaman leapt out of her skin and into a nearby tree. Hinata had time to play a card because of it. Animation. Byakugan returning to reality, Gadaman continued to use her Byakugan to search the area while shouting, Where is Dogman? Suddenly, she realized there were none. That was low, she said, turning to face Hinata. It was my only option, Hinata exclaimed. You were completely out of it. That does not mean watch out, shouted Gadaman. A kunai passed close to Hinata's throat, causing her to duck. Kurenai's weight forced the Junin to the ground as Gadaman leapt on her. Then Gadaman shouted, Cat's eye hypnotism. Kurenai's eyes glowed pink and she looked dazed. She is down for the count. Let's take her to the Hokage. Gadaman replied. As Hinata nodded and reached for Kurenai, Gadaman slapped her behind. And we are still going to talk about that, Gato. Chan, thing. A playful smirk appeared on Hinata's face as she blushed deeply before trailing Gadaman. Author style. Asuma character focus. Asuma was smoking and wondering when it would be his turn. He was actually preparing for combat. He was suddenly flung from the ground by a gust of wind. A strange bird screamed, Ninja Blade, over him as he was in midair. At these moments, he felt compelled to worship the log while he made the substitution. He watched as the shuriken pierced the log. The bird then turned to face the human as his hunters emerged from the ground. I told you we should have gone for a more delicate approach. We could use some of those stunning syringes to deal with him. After saying, Nah, I always wanted to face Asuma, the wind user of Konoha. The boy turned to face Asuma. My name is Riku, and I will be Konoha's next windmaster. Well, you seem pretty motivated, Asuma said with a laugh. I'll tell you right now. You must defeat me first. He got his trench knives ready as he said that. Riku screamed, I intend to. Falcoman, let me a bit at him. All right, but I will intervene if I see that we are running low on time, said Falcoman. Asuma's eyes widened as Riku hurried to his opponent and removed his blade from its sheath. I had not noticed that he had a katana. Could he be so advanced in his element training that he could already channel his chakra through a blade? Riku thought, damn, Asuma had a bit of vantage. Not only is he faster, but he has two knives, which means that while he is defending my sword with one trench knife, he is attacking me with the other. I really have to get an edge now or I am doomed. Time for some wind power. His eyes widened, and he jumped back as Riku slashed horizontally, but Asuma glanced at the jacket and saw the wide gash that now had a light blue outline as he began to push wind chakra into the blade. Asuma said, damn, I love that jacket. She hoped Kurenai could find a solution. However, I must admit that your proficiency with elemental chakra is impressive. What makes you believe that I am incapable of doing the same? Asuma ran towards him and they engaged in a fierce knife-to sword battle, and Riku was being pushed back more and more. He knew he had to think quickly, so he decided to take a cue from the man and let himself get pierced, only to be turned into a log. All of a sudden, both trench knives had the same light, and Riku had only one word in his mind. All praise the log. Asuma replied. I see you have met the savior of ninja. Yes, it's a true ninja saver, Riku remarked. Anyway, I'll demonstrate my ability now. Riku then began making hand signals, saying, wind style, wind blade tornado. Asuma made his own hand signals as the blade-filled tornado approached. Wind style, wind tower, and was encircled by a cyclone. Riku said, so you learned that too. When Asuma combined the two most lethal aspects of wind jutsu, the ability to cut everything and the ability to blow away, she said, I got to say that skill is deadly. Could you teach me that after all this, if you're willing? No problem, if I don't have a mission, Riku said with a smile. However, I caution you that it will take a lot of time for you to learn because it took me a whole year to create this. No effort. Asuma declared, I swear to be a quick learner. Asuma was about to sprint back in Riku's direction when, Ninja Blade! Yelled Falcoman. The shuriken came down on Asuma, who deflected them with his trench knives. As he did, Riku prepared yet another jutsu. Wind style. Gale Palm. He struck Asuma in the head with his fist, causing the Junin to faint. At last, time is running out, and neither of you will stop anytime soon, Falcoman said. Sorry about that, partner. Riku said, I'm glad I have you. This guy is tough. I would have failed this test if I hadn't had you. Yes, all right. Let's just get these guys out of here, Falcoman said. They were gone after that. Character focus. Kakashi author style. As he prepared his book, Kakashi pretended to be unaware of his surroundings, but he was unable to identify any enemies. Odd, he ought to be here by now. Where is he? His eyes widened as his book caught fire, and he briefly glanced down. Ah, my precious. After hurling the book onto the nearby water pond, his eyes widened and he reached for his book, which was now completely wet and unreadable. He stared at the book for a few seconds, mortified, before grabbing a kunai and shouting, I will make you pay, coward, get out and fight. Kakashi turned to face the memorial stone when he heard a voice say, I was just waiting for you to pay attention. Naruto Uzumaki was sitting on a rock, smiling at what he had just done. If you had taken your time to look up from your book instead of waiting to feel the chakra of others, you would have seen me here. Then, with rage in his eyes, Kakashi ran to him and screamed, Reikiri. He was about halfway when 3 kitsunes jumped from behind the stone, each one yelling, Diamond Storm, Crystal Storm, Obsidian Storm. You should never attack an enemy head-on, you never know what traps he has for you. Kakashi halted his run and used his lightning blade to destroy most of the arrowheads, though some still struck him in the legs. He grunted and looked up, noticing his opponent's smirk. Naruto then leapt and screamed, Fire Style, Dragon Breathing Jutsu. Using his own hand signals, Kakashi ran, Water Style, Water Wall, and used the nearby water pond to create a whirlpool around him. As it came down, he heard a voice yell behind him, Diamond Storm. Kakashi rolled away, thinking, not again, only to have to roll away as a Obsidian Storm. He was unable to sleep as a Crystal Storm moved in his direction, seemed to assault him. Naruto smirked as he watched the girl's relentless attacks push the man around, saying, now that I got rid of his porn and slowed him down with that first strike, I can just enjoy beating this guy around. But Kakashi was still Kakashi, so he used some hand signals to avoid the attacks, and soon he was gone. People stared around, unsure of what to do, until Black Renamon was suddenly grabbed on one leg and someone said, Earth Style, Headhunter Jutsu. As a result, Black Renamon became extremely enraged and was buried to her neck. She attempted to move but was unsuccessful, and Kakashi emerged from the earth, declaring, 1 down, 3 to go. The power of all WHO or perverted come to my fingers. Volpamon yelled as she ran to Kakashi, shouting, Ice Paw, and attempting to strike him. Kakashi dodged and then appeared behind her, crouching. Now is the time to pass judgment on the impure, and it is death. He then yelled, a 1,000 years of death, while jamming his fingers up her ass. Or if Naruto hadn't grabbed the offending fingers and substituted Volpamon, that's what would have happened. Not going to happen, you pervert. I do, however, have something for you. Kakashi attempted to flee, but before long, all three kitsunes, including the previously buried one, were standing next to him, each holding a glowing hand, and they all simultaneously exclaimed, the power of all the poor victims of this pervertion come to my fingers. Death is the impure's judgment, and it is time to judge them. A 1,000 years of digital death, they exclaimed, ramming their glowing paws up Kakashi's ass. When Kakashi finally descended after being launched into the air, he discovered that he would land on a public hot spring on the woman's side. Oh no, Kakashi paled and uttered those words. Character focus. Hokage author style. The Hokage was waiting with his eyes closed when he heard a tiny leaf rustle and opened them to see all of the Hokage's hand members with their targets, though Naruto's was covered in blood and appeared to be dead. What did you do to him, Naruto? He attempted to jam Volpamon's ass with 2 fingers, and it wasn't me, it was the lovely ladies at the hot springs, yelled Naruto angrily. Why are there so many strong women at the hot springs, I wonder? Well, Hokage's hand, you passed, Sarutobi said, perspiring. Here are your headbands, Sarutobi said, handing each person a black headband. And the uniform. The uniform resembled an Anbu uniform, but it was actually black. Do masks have to be worn? Riku inquired. No, that won't be necessary, Sarutobi replied. It would be at the beginning, but after I got the approving of the daimyo, there is nothing the council can do about it, so no. Yada! Yelled the members as they headed to their homes. Sarutobi was grinning behind them. Such power, yet such freedom. After the trials, Sarutobi looked at his students at the Hokage's office and said with pride, I am glad that you were able to pass at such a young age. Truthfully, you are the best students I ever had in terms of development. Better than the Sanins, even? Riku inquired. Yes, you are stronger than they were when you were their age, and you will only get stronger, even though they can still defeat you. The Hokage stated, as the Hokage's hand, you guys have the responsibility to not only guard my life but do missions no one else would. I want you to never stop training because I need you at your best at all times. I may occasionally assign you more routine tasks, but I will also assign you missions like killing this councilman and making it appear like an accident or killing this person in the middle of an enemy-filled camp and framing someone else for it. Yes, sir, said the Hokage's hand. Remember that Digimon can only be defeated by you guys. I will be sending you on those missions as well because Azulongmon and I have made it possible for my crystal ball to alert me when a Digimon appears. You get it? Yes, sir, all right. I want to speak with each of you directly now. The Hokage went to a shelf and hurled 2 scrolls at Naruto as the others left the room, saying, this is something you have earned. It's a technique that belonged to one of the most powerful ninjas ever, the 4th Hokage. The Rasengan is the name of it. Really? But why are you handing it to me? Naruto asked. The second scroll explains the cause. He turned to the 3 vixens and said, he will need the help of the 3 of you on this. I must say, though, sorry for not telling you sooner. You can now send Alex inside. After giving a nod, Naruto departed, and Alex and Lunaman entered a short while later. Alex, said Sarutobi, is good to see that you finally made friends. Yes, being part of the Hokage's hand has been most beneficial, Alex replied. Lunaman said, oh come on, Alex, you love it and you know it. It appears that Azulongmon really knew what he was doing when he put you and Lunaman together, said Sarutobi, laughing. It seems so, Alex said, blushing a little. She has been a huge assistance to me. Why am I here now? I'm here to personally congratulate you and let you know that you did a good job getting this far. Additionally, I would like to know if you have any compliances to make. Alex said, not a single one, sir. Demon Illusion. Melting Flesh is a potent genjutsu from Kurenai's personal library. Very well, here. Sarutobi said, taking a scroll. I have no doubt that you will make good use of it. You can now go here and call Hinata. Now you have changed so much, little Hinata. Sarutobi proudly remarked, I can still remember the days when you were gripping my robes tightly with fear as we first entered the Hokage's hand headquarters. Another then left his office, followed by Hinata and Gatomon. I recall that day as well. That day marked the beginning of my new life, Hinata said. Hinata blushed once more as Gatomon remarked, you were so cute back then, You used to shudder so much it was adorable. I won't lie to you, Hinata. Your father asked that you be returned to the Hyuga's home. He feels that you are a member of the clan and that you ought to go back right away. Hokage. Sama, please don't let them take me back, Hinata said, going pale. I can't imagine leading a lifeless existence once more. Yes, old man, Hinata. Shan will not be taken. If I have to, I'll kill them all. Gataman swore and flashed her teeth. I just wanted to warn you that your father might try something, so it would be best if you wore your mask going forward. I wasn't going to let her go back anyhow. You should be safe at the headquarters because he has no idea where it is. Will he not locate the headquarters? Still terrified, Hinata questioned. The Hokage said, no, the headquarters have special seals and I have it as a very well-kept secret only I know. You should be ready, he said. We have no idea what he has planned. With a look of relief, Hinata replied, yes, Hokage. Sama. This is a water ninjutsu called Water Style, Tidal Wave, that I am sure you can master. You can now go and bring Jean over. Soon after Hinata left, Jean entered with Palman at her side. Ah, Jean, it's nice to see that you're doing well on your new team, Palman said. Palman translated Jean's hand signals. It couldn't be better, sir. It has the feel of a real family. And I think she and Riku are finally going to confess to each other, Palman muttered. Palman flushed as Jean made more hand signals. Hey, don't bring Falco.kun to this, Palman shouted. Now here is a scroll about a seal called Orichalco's seal. If you are done arguing, maybe we can return to the issue at hand, Sarutobi said. Although using it requires a lot of chakra and chakra control, it elevates one to a completely new level. However, it becomes less effective the more you use it, so avoid becoming dependent on it. However, allowing a gap between times will always maximize your power. Happy to have a new seal, Jean nodded. Hokage. Sama, do you need anything else from us? Yes, send Riku in on your way out, and let him know that what I need to say to him is crucial, Sarutobi said. After Jean nodded and walked out, Riku and Falcoman came in a short while later. I must admit, Riku, I am impressed. Beating your own dad? That was quite remarkable. Thanks, though without Falcoman, it would have taken a lot more, Riku replied. He was a Junin after all. Riku, don't be so down about it, he continued. I also noted you didn't told him who you truly were. I am aware that he and Kurenai have something in common. I'm unable to ruin that, I simply cannot. Falcoman countered, he is your father. He's got his life. Just because I want him to know me doesn't mean I can ruin that. In addition, I can still get to know him because I'll be teaching him one of my wind style moves, Riku remarked. Sarutobi said, still. Look, I think he's a great man, but I can't just walk up to him and say, hey, guess what? I am your son who you had with a whore of a woman, and hope for the best. Unaware of what he had just done, Riku yelled, Asuma.san doesn't deserve this. This bomb, to be dropped on him. Outside. Asuma Sarutobi, who was determined to talk to his father about Riku, was making his way to the Hokage's office. He knew that something was wrong with the child because his wind element was much too strong and there was something else about him that he couldn't quite put his finger on. He is your father, was the bird's voice as he approached the door and began to hear conversations going on inside. He's got his life. Just because I want him to know me doesn't mean I can ruin that. In addition, I'll be teaching him one of my wind style moves, so I can still get to know him. Riku? What was he doing there? Still, his dad mentioned. Look, I think he's a great man, but I can't just walk up to him and say, hey, guess what? I am your son who you had with a whore of a woman, and hope for the best. Asuma.san is not worthy of having this bomb dropped on him. Pale at this outburst and its contents, Asuma stopped. Was he a father? When was that? He and Kurenai never. No, that's not possible. Look, I'd like to go to bed if we have nothing more to talk about. As he approached the door, Riku noticed Asuma staring at him in disbelief. Asuma.san. It is getting late and I am tired after today's test, he said. Is it accurate? Is it true? Asuma inquired. Are you my son? He looked at Riku and shouted. Sarutobi said, yes, Asuma, he is. I didn't want you to learn this way, but I suppose it was unavoidable. Come on in, you two. It's time I revealed Riku's birth secret to you. Asuma replied, no you won't, not without Kurenai here. No, please, this could break everything you have with her, Riku replied. I never conceal anything from this place, not even my darker aspects. I want her to listen to whatever I listen to, Asuma said. Falcoman placed his hand or wing on Riku's shoulder as he was about to say, but. After nodding, Sarutobi said, bring Kurenai please. In a split second, an Embu appeared and vanished, and when he returned, Kurenai was with him. What's happening here? Curious, Kurenai asked. Asuma, what's going on here? Now, what do you guys know about the Ibaras? Sarutobi said, you are all going to hear a secret pertaining to Riku and Asuma. They are a non-ninja family who run some of the most influential businesses in town, Kurenai said first. They are also known to use vast amounts of money in things like jewelry and stuff, more than what they make, Asuma said. The general public is aware of that. They are unaware of how they make their money. It is well known that they spend excessive amounts of money, even with their business. Where do they obtain the funds, then? Sarutobi inquired. I fail to see the significance of this, Asuma inquired. Riku surprised everyone by responding. They involve themselves with rich people. They try to get everyone under their thumbs, from council members to clan heads. To demonstrate that the other families own them, all they need is a child. You're right, Riku. But here's the problem. How do they consistently achieve their goals? The answer is simple yet deadly. They are masters of drugs and aphrodisiacs, Sarutobi said, causing everyone in the room to look perplexed. What? Astonished, Asuma asked. No way, Riku said. So that is how they do it, replied Falcoman. I should have known it wouldn't be as easy as just tempting people. Yes, they can get into bed with anyone and make them forget in the morning by combining the use of drugs and aphrodisiacs. In some pregnancy cases in this village, the victim would claim that she had never had unprotected sex or any sex at all. But the women in the Ibaras were worse, Sarutobi remarked. They would quickly defraud the father's family of their money after becoming pregnant and claiming responsibility to them. Asuma began to realize, but what does that have to do with, no? What's the matter, Asuma? Kurenai said, glancing at him. Riku was also pale. Asuma, you are beginning to understand. You were also a victim of this cocktail. Sarutobi remarked, but you resisted much more than anyone could have ever done. Did I? Asuma inquired. Kurenai exclaimed in shock, Asuma, so, his son is. To draw Kurenai's attention, Riku said, me. Yes, I am Asuma's son. I really apologize. Kurenai yelled angrily, don't you dare apologize. When all you did was be born, you can't really say you're sorry for this. She then miraculously recalled another passage. How did you say that Asuma resisted more than anyone else, Hokage? Sama? Sarutobi was actually chuckling. I know this is hardly the best time to laugh right now, but the truth is he resisted because of the same thing you keep berating him so much for. His smoking habits. What? The three shocked individuals there shouted. Asuma's continuous smoking prevented him from smelling the aphrodisiacs and drugs at all, even though they typically use smelling powders to make their drugs work. He didn't begin to lose the battle until they added it to his drink, Sarutobi explained. After flinching at Kurenai's icy gaze, Asuma asked another question. How effective is this cocktail we are talking about? Well, I had some personnel do some tests and it turns out to be impossible to resist the impulse once it is taken, Sarutobi replied. Kurenai looked down, deep in thought, and Asuma was trembling. Kurenai, Shan. Don't, if you speak now, I may do something we will both regret. Kurenai replied. Asuma, I forgive you. You do? With hope, Asuma asked. What did I say regarding your speech? Kurenai firmly stated, this comes with two conditions. Name them. You're supposed to stay right next to me at all times and disregard my repeated warnings to keep smoking. After about 5 minutes of shock, Riku and Sarutobi both started laughing uncontrollably, and Asuma simply gave Kurenai a tight hug while muttering, thank you, thank you, thank you. One more condition. Kurenai replied. You and me are going to take care of Riku from now on. I am afraid that won't be possible, Sarutobi replied. He is now a Hokage's hand member, and as such, he is now under my direct line of order and under my care. At the very least, could he come hang out with us? Goddamn the approach, he is still my son, Asuma said. I still want to spend some time with him. Nothing prevents him from spending time with you when he's not on duty. But remember, Riku, that you still need to train frequently in order to maintain and even increase your power, Sarutobi said. Hey, I will. With tears welling up in his eyes, Riku said. Do you have any more queries? Sarutobi inquired. If you knew about this, why didn't you tell me? And why wasn't I the target of blackmail or something? Asuma asked. As everyone gasped, Sarutobi went on. I didn't fall for her blackmail and sent Anbu to retrieve the child. She didn't use Riku here to target you, but myself. She attempted to kill him at the time, but we were quick enough. I was going to tell you, but I kept Riku a secret up until now because I didn't want to ruin your relationship with Kurenai. While everyone was silent, Asuma stood up, approached Riku, and gave him a hug. That Boy, this young, and already in the Hokage's hand. The Sarutobi family is truly fortunate to have produced such formidable ninjas, don't you think? The Hokage added, all is well and good, but could you get Miss Spy Haruno and her plant friend? After Riku gave Asuma a disbelieving look before laughing along with everyone else. They've been listening to the story from the door up until now, and I believe they want to come along. There was a sharp intake of breath, and everyone turned to face the door, which Riku approached and opened to reveal Jean and Palman. Jean? Palman? What are you girls doing here? Inquired Falcoman and Riku. Palman finally responded, we were worried about you guys, as Jean flushed and Palman appeared ashamed. Ultimately, the Hokage stated that it was a significant matter, and we. So young and you have the attention of such a lovely girl? Smiled Asuma. The Sarutobis are truly fortunate. You're already on thin ice, Asuma. I'll teach you a genjutsu that will last the rest of your life, along with corrupt Riku. Kurenai shouted. Although Jean and Riku both flushed at this, it would be clear that they were close if one watched them return to their hiding place. Alongside Naruto. It took a great deal of training to develop that move, but once mastered, the possibilities as a fighting and demolition technique were immense. Naruto had just read the scroll of the Rasengan. While Naruto was reading the scroll, Renneman and the others had just gone to grab a bite to eat before turning in for the night. Why was he getting this? And why did the Hokage appear to be afraid when he handed him the scrolls? He was certain that the second scroll held the solution, so he reached for it and pulled it open. His eyes started to well up with tears as he read it. Volpaman, Black Renneman, and Renneman came in to witness his fits of rage. They ran to Naruto and exclaimed, Naruto! What is wrong? He simply handed the scroll to them. It said this. Naruto, you have become the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, and if the village honored my final wishes, which I sincerely hope they did, you must be regarded as a hero. If you are preparing this, I am most likely dead. This is Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, in case you haven't guessed who it is. If I were still alive, you could call me father. I have to go stop the Kyuubi, and I don't have much time. I apologize for abandoning you in this world, Naruto. I will have to give my life to save our village because your mother, Kushina Uzumaki, passed away while she was pregnant. But know that you are loved and that we hope the best for you, son. Son, make us proud. Explain to everyone what a leaf ninja is. Sincerely Daddy, also known as Minato Namikaze. There was a chibi picture of Minato making a peace sign with his fingers in the corner. They watched Naruto cry and then gave him a group hug while he cried out, Mom, Dad, over and over. As they heard him yell, Alex, Lunaman, Hinata, and Gataman arrived. They nodded, giving Naruto a final look before shutting the door and letting the vixens tend to him. Renneman said, we will tell you tomorrow. Renneman said, Naruto, I know you are upset, but please calm down. Black Renneman said, yeah sugar, pull yourself together. You can't break. You are the pillar of the Hokage's hand, the supporter of this group, and ourselves. We need you here, said Volpaman. Naruto's sobs became progressively softer until they stopped. Thank you, girls. Thank you so much. I really needed that. Renneman said, Naruto, you are important to us. She was thinking, I can't tell him what I feel now, he doesn't need the extra weight in his consciousness. You will always be, so please don't ever scare us like that again. Black Renneman said, yeah, hun. We are a team, not one member can be out for the count. With the thought, wait a minute, he's too much of a mess to handle my feelings. Naruto, we will be with you, whatever comes. Volpaman thought, he is too fragile, he can't handle what I feel now. I'll hold off until a better moment. Would you girls be able to spend the night with me? I don't want to be by myself right now, Naruto uttered. As he drifted off to sleep, the three girls nodded and clung to him, each of them sighing before realizing that the others had followed suit. Before long, the vixens exchanged lightning over the unconscious Naruto, and that night, they made silent vows of suffering. With Lunaman and Alex, Lunaman said, I hope Naruto-san is alright. He will be alright with those three by his side, however, I'm interested in what could bring a man like Naruto to tears, Alex replied. He must have been in a lot of pain, so it must have been something bad, Lunaman asked. Perhaps a number of factors came together at once. There is a limit to how much a person can handle before losing it, Alex said. After pondering Alex's words for a while, Lunaman approached him and gave him a hug. Lunaman? A shocked Alex asked. I'll support you as well, Lunaman said, I am for you, just as Renneman and the others are for Naruto. I already snapped. Once, snorted Alex. Thank you, but I've already gone through that. Knowing that I can rely on someone like you, Lunaman, is a comfort. Lunaman grinned. knowing that Alex had come a long way since they first met, even though she would never tell the others. Alex was a needy boy, and she loved to help him. Lunaman waited a little while before moving to his chest and sleeping there as the two fell asleep. With Gadaman and Hinata. Now, after changing into her nightgown, Hinata lay in bed and continued to reflect on what the Hokage had told her. What if her father had attempted to bring her back to the clan? What if he had placed the caged bird seal on her? What if she would never see Gato-chan again? As her thoughts raced, Gadaman emerged from the shower, her fur still damp. Although she detested water, she knew that taking a shower was necessary, and she noticed that Hinata was thinking. Whatever it was, she was growing increasingly afraid, so she had better move quickly. Gadaman leapt without thinking and landed on Hinata, causing the girl to squeal not only in shock but also because she felt her body suddenly drench. Hina-chan, you better not be going back to your old shuddering self, Gadaman yelled, causing Hinata to blush at the name. No turning back. It took a lot of effort to get you out. But, my father, get rid of your dad. I'll slap him across the face and beat the living daylights out of him if he shows up. He is a jerk who is unworthy of being mentioned, Gadaman said. He can't get you right now. Thus, don't be a Hyuga. You are now a member of Hokage's hand and, if I get my way, my adorable plaything. Gadaman laughed aloud as Hinata blushed profusely at these final remarks. You are so cute when you were embarrassed. Gadaman smirked. At least now her thoughts were much more interesting than the ones before, he said before Hinata leapt out of bed and dried her fur with a towel. Hinata simply remained there, her lush growing as her mind went down the gutter. Alongside the Hokage, Sarutobi went to finish up some paperwork after Riku and the others had left so he wouldn't have to worry as much tomorrow. At that moment, his secretary came in and said, Hokage-sama, the council called a meeting. Sarutobi sighed, whatever it is, it's nothing good. They most likely discovered the Hokage's hand at last, or at the very least, they're suspicious and will give him a headache over it. He proceeded to the meeting room, which was spacious, mostly dark red, and featured the symbol of a leaf. It was somewhat odd that the village was hidden despite the land being the land of fire, but even that oddity could not make old Sarutobi forget what he was going to encounter. The heads of the various clans, including the Inazukas, Naras, Akamichis, Yamanakas, Abarames, and Hyugas, were present at the meeting. The Uchiha seat was vacant because Sarutobi did not want Sasuke on the council just yet. His three advisors, Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, and Danzo, each with a menacing grin. And some of the more powerful civilians, including the head of the Harunos and the new head of the Ibaras. So, what am I owed for this meeting's enjoyment? Sarutobi asked, attempting to convey that the meeting was enjoyable. We've heard rumors, Hokage-sama, that you sent a group of Anbu to Training Ground 44 because there were enemy ninjas there. We recently learned that they were all vanquished. You didn't send any additional teams there, though. Why is that? Kaharu asked. It weren't enemies, just a test I made for a bunch of ninjas who needed to be tested to assess their evolution, Sarutobi replied. Why did we not know about this group of ninjas? Danzo inquired. Because everyone would be aware of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki if I told you, based on how quickly the word spread throughout the village. Furthermore, they only became official recently, Sarutobi said. Even so, you ought to have informed us about them sooner. Who are they? Why was a test necessary? Homura inquired. They are the Hokage's hand, the revival of a group that was disbanded during the Nidaime, and I trained them myself, the Hokage replied. What? They broke up that group. It cannot be reactivated without our permission, Danzo shouted. Is that because I broke up your small band of Wanabe ninjas? I am the Hokage. To start, you follow my advice, not the other way around. Furthermore, the daimyo has already signed the agreement that grants me the Hokage's hand, so there is nothing you fools can do. You say a contract, and with this, what does he gain? Danzo inquired. As he saw their astonished expressions, Sarutobi smirked and said, Oh, nothing much, just 25% of the money he sent to the council, that is all. That's right, I was the reason your paychecks were cut. This serves as a reminder to everyone about who is in charge here. Now leave. This went better than I expected, smiled Sarutobi as the members departed. A few weeks have passed since the group became the Hokage's hand, and things have already been intriguing. Not so much the Digimon attacks, but rather the group's transformations. Riku spent time getting to know Kurenai and teaching his father his original technique after the exam, which made him much happier than he had been before. Not that he was the only one, because both of them began dating the two hopeless guys, Riku and Falcomon. Jean was radiant these days, with only Palmon to match. If you're wondering why I didn't mention Falcomon's happiness, the answer is that it's simply insufficient when the man is practically floating while walking, humming a happy song, and closing his eyes. Between missions and avoiding the Hyugas, Hinata and Gadaman had been extremely busy. When they did have time to relax, they would cuddle in their room away from everyone else. Alex was also quite busy. Anko was so upset about being beaten that she made it her mission to beat the child. As a result, he has to be very cautious and watch out for his own back because Anko is a woman on a hunt, and not the good kind either. Now that Naruto has 3 girlfriends, you might wonder, how did this happen? So, it happened a few days after the test, when the 3 girls were arguing, if you will. Flashback. Renneman said in a harsh tone, "Okay girls, it's time this becomes perfectly clear. I have seen the way you two are behaving near Naruto and I had enough. You understand that he is mine?" "Ahaha, that's a laugh." Black Renneman answered. "I don't mean to insult or anything, but you aren't even a quarter of the vixen that I am. Who do you think you will want? He is as good as mine." Volpaman yelled, "You both are fools. You are weak, and Naruto obviously likes a strong woman by his side, and that is me. He is mine." After giving each other a fierce look, the 3 leapt to the center, sparking a furious altercation. This was a catfight, with bites, pulling and tearing of the fur, punches to the chest, claw marks, and other similar maneuvers, all while screaming like only a crazy woman can. It wasn't a virtual battle where they would use their attacks and attributes to win. When the others arrived to investigate the commotion, they saw a massive cloud with 3 vixens engaged in combat. Riku exclaimed, "Wow, that is some mean catfight." "Yeah, good thing they are Digimons, unless this place would be filled with blood," replied Alex. "Guys, that is mean. Besides, shouldn't we stop this?" replied Palman. "And where is Naruto? He should be here if his partners are fighting," Gadaman replied. Fortuitously, Naruto had taken a bath. He was only wearing a towel when he arrived because of the noise. That doesn't really register with him because he became terrified as soon as he saw the catfight. "Renneman, Vulpamon, Blackrenamon, what are you doing? Stop." But here's something Naruto discovered the hardest way. No matter how much you want to, you can't get seriously hurt by getting involved in a catfight. Especially if you are only wearing a towel that is prone to falling off. It took the girls a few seconds to realize that they were no longer striking one another before they stopped and watched in horror as Renneman pulled Naruto's hair with all of her strength. Volpaman scratched his chest, leaving deep, bleeding gashes that looked like a wild animal had eaten him for lunch, and Black Renneman finally realized that her kicks were striking Naruto's groins rather than her sister's. As a result, Naruto fell into blissful unconsciousness, the girls closed their eyes in embarrassment, and the men winced in sympathetic pain. "Oh no, Naruto!" exclaimed the 3 upset vixens. Flashback end. After a few days, Naruto was discharged from the hospital and was at last able to handle the situation, though it wasn't simple, particularly when the girls asked him which of his loves he loved the most. The Hokage saved him as he was gagging and squirming to find out the answer. One more flashback. "So?" inquired a growing irritated Renneman. An already irritated Black Renneman yelled, "Quit stalling, hun, just give us an answer." A very icy Vulpaman said, "You can't keep indecisive forever." Naruto was perspiring profusely. He was unable to make a decision. Despite their similarities, they were very different. Vulpaman appealed to strength and confidence. Black Renneman was cunningly wonderful and a lot of fun to be around, and Renneman was understanding and patient. He was unable to choose. Naruto said, "Oh fuck, what now? Hokage to the rescue." The 4 of them turned to watch Sarutobi emerge from a sunshine wearing a hat and Hokage robe, striking a pose that caused them to start perspiring. The frightened Naruto exclaimed, Hokage. Sama, what are you doing?" The old Hokage remained in his position and replied, "To be honest, I have no idea. Must be the new pills. A little help please. I think I popped my back." The Hokage listened to the dilemma that attacked Naruto a short while later. Confused, the Hokage said, "Haven't I told you about the CRA?" He coughed and said, "Must have forgotten, damn pills." Naruto, "Your mom was Kushina Uzumaki." Naruto, utterly bored, replied, Yes, I know." Sarutobi caught Naruto's attention by asking, "Did you know that she was the last of the clan Uzumaki? They were a famous and feared clan. So feared it took 3 villages to take them out, and they didn't get out much better." With stars in his eyes, Naruto exclaimed, "Wow." Renneman and the other vixens were glaring at the elderly man when she said, "Who?" While this is fairly interesting, Hokage Sama, I fail to see what this has to do with our present situation. Right. Anyway, what I meant was this makes Naruto the last of the Uzumakis, making him eligible for the CRA, announced the elderly gentleman. Naruto inquired, but what is the CRA? Sarutobi smiled. Well, Naruto, it's short for Clan Restoration Act. And it means that in order to restore a lost clan, the last male member must take more than one wife in order to ensure more offspring in the future. Naruto turned to face the three vixens, and his eyes widened. After a brief conversation in whispers, they turned to face Naruto as Renamon coughed. Naruto, after some deliberation, we found that, in light of this new development. Black Renamon yelled, "Oh screw the polite way," as she leapt and gave Naruto a mouth kiss, completely shocking him. Black Renamon, what do you think you are doing, you hussy? Renamon growled. Ignoring her, Black Renamon continued kissing. For Naruto, the feral, hunger-filled kiss was nearly overwhelming. Why, was all Naruto could say when she finally stopped breathing. This was short-lived, as Vulpamon kissed him hard and passionately right away. Not you too, exclaimed Renamon, who was now furious. She also chose to ignore Vulpamon until she finished kissing him, at which point she turned to Renamon and remarked, the polite talk was only going to make the situation more uncomfortable, better this way. At this point, Naruto regained consciousness and realized that Renamon had not yet moved forward, despite her obvious desire to do so. Come on, Renamon, I understand and accept. Renamon sighed as he turned to face him. She then moved forward to give him a slow but equally passionate kiss, which was not how I wanted to break the news to him. I think I am forgetting something. The paperwork, Sarutobi said, laughing at the scene, and he was gone with that shout. Flashback ends once more. The past few weeks have been quite eventful, to put it mildly. Let's see what they're doing now. In the office of the Hokage, Sarutobi proudly declared, thanks to you two, we now have a safer trade route with Taki. Two members of the Hokage's hand stood in front of him, Fox and Crow, also known as Naruto and Alex, along with their partners. They had just returned from a mixed A-rank mission with some Takigaku's ninjas, and it's safe to say that they were impressed by the skills displayed by Fox and Crow, as well as their partners, and now they were hearing the results directly from Sarutobi. It was nothing, Hokage. Sama. Crow replied, our partners made for a good surprise attack without the Digimon. Therefore, dealing with the enemy was not too difficult. Yes, I have indeed heard. Lunaman, you can leave Crow. Please stay, Fox and Kitsunes. I need to talk to you about some business. Before a ball of biomass covered them both and vanished into the earth, Crow and Lunaman bowed. Vulpamon acknowledged, I will never get used to that Sunshin. What do you say? That is really fantastic. I wish I had that ability, Black Renamon said. Renamon simply shook her head at this, but Fox and Sarutobi laughed. So why did you ask us to stay, Hokage? Sama? Fox turned to the elder and asked. There is something that troubles me, Sarutobi sighed. Renamon said, you are the Hokage, which is really surprising. I guess it's part of the job, isn't it? But I'm worried about a mission in which I sent Team 7 on, a C rank to be precise, Sarutobi said, laughing. Shouldn't be too much trouble, they do have a Junin with them if things go wrong, replied Vulpamon. But it's Kakashi. Do you think he can handle it? Given his behavior, Black Renamon predicted that he would be late for his own funeral. Sarutobi remarked sarcastically, very funny, Black Renamon. While I am glad that you know the different teams in the village, my concern is about the place where the mission takes place and not the team per se. You sent them away from Earth Country, didn't you? Because then, especially given Kakashi's past, you would have cause for concern, Fox asked in a level tone. Sarutobi went on, no, I sent them to Wave Country. Then there shouldn't be any problem. Renamon agreed. Aside from some bandits, of course. But Hokage. Sama, I'm confident that the Golden Boy can succeed. Black Renamon smirked and said, after all, the council says he is a god among shinobi and he poops rainbows and sunshine. So you two heard about it? Asked Sarutobi, laughing at the picture. Indeed, in addition to being the rookie of his graduating year, Sasuke is also pampered and supported by both the elder and civilian sides of the council. What that is truly doing to him is regrettable. It really is. Vulpamon agreed. Especially since he is so obsessed with his brother and getting revenge, his mind is clouded and can't distinguish truth from lie. Before you ask, Hokage. Sama, we of the Hokage's hand, and with permission from the others, tested one Sasuke Uchiha to see if he deserved the praise he did and if we found him worthy, maybe even help him in the long run in his quest. Began Fox. The trial would be start with a minor test to his mind, to see if he was mentally stable after what happened to his family. A harmless genjutsu was used in the test to give the impression that Itachi was present. And even though we anticipated an angry response, I mean, who wouldn't? He displayed a serious lack of mental stability. Black Renneman laughed. It goes without saying that the child flew through the illusion, attacked a wall, broke his wrist, and had to go to the hospital before the illusion could even say Sasuke. The worst part is that we had to take him to the hospital because he continued to attack the illusion even after it was gone. Renneman smirked and added, a better title would be Nutsnin. Naturally, this made Black Renneman laugh even harder. Though I would normally reprimand Black Renneman on her laughing about this, we share the opinion that Sasuke is mentally unfit and a flight risk, too much for him to even be considered a genin. Volpaman's eyes narrowed as she relived the memory of that day, and Sarutobi turned to her to see if she had anything more to say. Shameful. Yes, well, sighed Sarutobi, I didn't call you here to discuss Sasuke but rather his team. Although Kakashi told me they were. I now believe they weren't prepared for such a mission. You want us to look into it, then? I think it's a waste of resources, Naruto commented. Sarutobi scowled and reprimanded him, saying, let me finish. I had heard recently that Getu, of Getu Enterprises, has taken Wave as his base. Aside from the fact that there are rumors that he is a tyrant and involved in numerous illicit activities throughout the elemental nations, I wouldn't be overly concerned about this. It has been established that the man has previously employed missing nin. That's some serious shit, Fox said, narrowing his eyes. If the nin part that is missing is correct. That this could be a B borderline. A possible S-rank mission depending on the missing nin's rank. Renneman continued. Which means. Black Renneman went on, that a bunch of green brats like Team the 7th of May not be ready for this, so. We must go there and complete the mission ourselves or serve as backup, correct? Finally, Volpaman said. Sarutobi grinned and said, that is the gist of it, though I would consider that you help them, rather than finish the mission yourselves. The four were actually quite in sync, which was funny. May I know why? Fox inquired. You might not be aware, but mission reports also function as an assessment of the ninja's efforts, Sarutobi remarked. So you could report how well this team works. I'm interested in seeing how good they are. All right, what time do we depart? Fox inquired. You have 2 hours to gather any weapons, cards and supplies that you may need. Sarutobi replied. Here is the pass so you can leave at the gate. The four vanished in an instant. Sarutobi was left to confront his formidable enemy, the great mighty paperwork, while Fox was reduced to pure flames and the others to pure speed. The secret base of Hokage's hand. Hey everyone, who's home? As he removed his mask, Naruto asked. Alex shouted from the kitchen, just me and Jean. He was sitting at the table, preparing his favorite book, Loveless, while Jean was sipping tea with Lunaman and Palman, who were talking about specifics of recent missions while Jean listened intently. Oh, I see. Let's say I'm embarking on another mission, this time to the ostensibly impoverished village of Wave Country. Does anyone have any of Hinata's ointment cards or anything similar in case I have to pretend to be a doctor? Naruto asked. However, Alex appeared to be in on Jean's hand signals, and when Naruto nodded, she gave him, healing style, mystic palm of healing. Alex inquired, say, do you have Riku's, wind style, tunneling spear? Yeah, why, you lend me that one and I will lend you my ointment, chakra pill, my ointment, food pill, my ointment, soldier pill, and my infected style, viral claw. Naruto said, deal. But why so many cards for one of Riku's? Because I ain't going to any mission right now, I have all the ointments here in base, and I'll be training a lot, with some ideas in which I could use that jutsu. So yeah, that card is far more useful for me right now. Here you have them. Thanks. They didn't notice Riku entering until he struck his head on the table, exhausted, while they were trading cards. Dude, what happened to you? Naruto inquired anxiously. Yeah, Jean is right, you were supposed to be back a week ago, what gives? Alex said as he prepared Jean's hand signals. Without raising his head off the pillow, Riku replied, the escort mission was extended. Falcoman replied, yes. The others had only just noticed that he was lying on the ground with his head in the ground, as exhausted as or even more so than his partner. The Fire Daimyo just couldn't leave Iron Country without going to one of the local festivities. Naruto muttered, it couldn't be that bad. We lost the guy, Riku exclaimed. We had to look him for 3 days to find him, and when we did, he was in the sewers, butt-ass naked, with a tattoo on his ass, left cheek, saying I'm a bitch and muttering something about whips and cream. It took us 4 days to get him back to shape. Falcoman nodded and began to shiver as he recalled. Alex said, Well, at least the mission is over, right? Falcoman whimpered, we wish. But the daimyo said that since we were the fastest guys to ever find him after the festivities, he wants us to go with him next time too. We are doomed. Palman held Falco Kun's head in her lap and exclaimed, poor Falco. Kun. Falcoman sighed with pleasure as she began to massage his head and said, don't worry, let Palman ease your troubles. Jean obtained the same response by doing the same for Riku. At this, Alex shook his head. I bet they exaggerated their story just to get a bit of that. Naruto replied, so, seems like a nice enough reward to lie for. You say that because your girlfriends can do it, Alex replied. It's not my fault that your girlfriend is small, Naruto criticized. For the last time, we aren't dating, yet. We're just partners, Alex replied. You were just waiting for her evolution, at which point you can do all this stuff with her, Naruto replied. Lunaman asked, not paying attention to them, do what? Nothing, Alex said. Naruto just being an ass. After chuckling, Naruto departed to complete his task. Adjacent to exit number 4, he is meeting with his partners. Alright girls, you know the drill, until we are in Wave Country, you girls are to stay on the Digivice. So, gather party. The trio entered the Digivice while glowing. Oh man, no fair. Black Renaman whimpered. You know I hate this, as cramped. Would you stop whining? We better not raise suspicion upon us, Volpaman reprimanded him. After donning his fox mask, Naruto unlocked the door and entered the back room of a dilapidated brothel. I have to give Sarutobi credit because nobody ever asks questions about this entrance. They won't say anything because they're afraid of being connected to this dump, even if they see us here. Brilliant. Fox laughed as he walked through the drug-filled, hardly legal establishment. The best part is that we can let Sarutobi know who we see around here so he can respond appropriately. He understands why we would want to know who shows up or doesn't. Sarutobi is an even more powerful black mail master than the Ibaras, despite their belief that they could fool him. He then departed. Wave Country. All right, we are here. It is not as far as I expected, Fox said. Reload party. Stretching their aching muscles, the three vixens emerged. It's more like you were just that fast, hun. Good thing too, 'cause I couldn't take being in that Digivice any longer, complained Black Renaman. Fast or not, it is near night time, so we better find Tizuna's house or risk sleeping outside, said Renaman. And how do we do that? Team 7 had the client and we have no info on where he lives, replied Black Renaman. Everyone looked to Volpaman as she began. If I may make the suggestion, we should ask the locals. Since it is a small village, finding info on who we want to find should be easy. Before entering the village, Fox gave the order, Volpaman is right, come on girls, before it's too dark to move. The vixens followed closely behind. The scene then changed to a cursed village, with people running toward their own homes, closing doors and windows in their haste, and gasping at strangers. The location was soon abandoned. Guess the rumors of Gatu being a tyrant is truth. Renaman surmised, they must either think we are connected to Gatu or on his hit list. Man, how are we supposed to get info if they aren't willing to talk with us, replied Black Renaman. Fox approached a house and knocked, saying, we try to do it politely. The interior is silent. Mister, I know you were in there, but we need some info. A terrified voice inside cried out, go away. I have nothing to do with the bridge, I swear. I have paid already. I own nothing to Gatu for this month, so leave. As composed as ever, Fox stated, Mister, we are not with Gatu. We are here to find Tizuna. We are a backup team sent to help. The voice said, prove it. Which village do you hail from? Fox replied, Konoha, the Hidden Leaf. You could have just said that because it's the closest village. Fox went on, I have the leaf headband. You could have stolen that one. Fox continued, growing agitated, I have my ID with me. That could be fake. The man exclaimed. Fox returned, moaned, oh for Cammy's sake. And then ran and leapt through the window, smashing it and frightening the living daylights out of the family. A woman was lying and trembling close to the kitchen, and a man was holding a knife but didn't seem brave enough to use it. Fox moved forward and seized him by both his weapon, wielding hand in his throat. Now listen up, I came all over to help the team sent for Tizuna because the Hokage was concerned the ninjas he sent weren't enough. I had a 2-month-long mission, I haven't slept in a bed for those 2 months and I really didn't want to be here. So you either tell me where I can find Tizuna or I will leave this village to die. The man screamed in terror. Okay, please don't hurt the kids. The house at the far east, near the lake, it's his. Please don't hurt my kids, they're only children. Then Fox surveyed his surroundings. The place was nearly uninhabitable due to its severe decay. The children were a girl who was 3 years old and a boy who might have been 5. Before opening a scroll in his pouch, Fox released the man. He opened some supplies and said, "Here. This food will allow you and the kids to survive on months alone. There is also some money there. I'm sorry for frightening you." The children went to the pile and began eating enthusiastically, ignoring the frightful ninja. The man appeared astonished. With a dry throat, he said, "Thank you. Don't mention it. I didn't want to scare you. Guess I just have a short temper. I'm just human after all," said Fox as he went. He set off for Tazuna's house with the girls. The first person to break the ice was Renamon, who said, "That was sweet of you." "Meh, I had to do it. I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself if I just scared those kids without any sort of retribution." Fox replied. "This is bad. Gatu is a monster." Vulpaman remarked, "We have dealt with those before." Fox said, "And I always hate it. It is horrible to see people driven to this point. Sometimes I wish I wasn't ninja just to be as ignorant to the world as the civilians of Konoha." Black Renamon said, "You would never allow yourself to do that. Not only would the civilian council make your life hell, but you would never be at peace. You may hate it now, but the thing you love the most is making things right, so you would never allow yourself to ignore this." At this, Fox sighed. "Guess I am my own enemy in this one. Yeah, I guess you were right. Let's just go." The house was soon located. To be sure, Fox made the decision to check the interior before going inside. The group moaned at what he saw. Kakashi was in poor condition, with crutches close by and his ubiquitous orange book ready. There was a pink-haired, brooding child with duck hair who was clearly the Uchiha's runt. Was he transvestite? For the time being, Fox could only tell that it was a Haruno, and a pale child with a phony smile that would fool even a newborn would fall for it. Fox whispered, "This is troublesome." "You don't say, they are greener than grass," Black Renamon retorted. "We have a crossdresser, a lazy guy that reads porn and although a Junin, seems to be out of the count. A brooding emo runt whose eye disease may or may not have activated yet and a blow-up doll with a fake smile." Renamon said, "I agree. We should take on the mission as ours. If Kakashi is down, this is too much for them." "Indeed." Vulpaman concluded. "The way they are, they might become a liability more than an insurance. Let's tell them to pull back and take the mission ourselves." With a nod, Fox entered the room. The only people who noticed him were Kakashi and the kid with the eerie smile. Kakashi called out, "Fox, what are you doing here?" to get the others' attention. With everyone staring at him in shock, Naruto said, "Hitaki Kakashi, Team 7, I Fox, member number 1 of the Hokage's hand, order you to pull back from the mission and return to Konoha." Gatu's house. A strange voice behind a cage said, "They're here, I can smell them." Gatu looked over at the cage. "Are you sure?" "Yes, a tamer and 3 Digimons are here." Gatu grinned. "Very well, tomorrow you may hunt them." 3 sets of eyes gleamed in the cage. "Wait a minute, Fox." Kakashi pleaded. "You can't be serious, this is our mission." Black Renamon said, "Do you have any problem in your hearing? You have just been told, by your superior, to get the fuck out. So why are you still here?" Kakashi simply gave Black Renamon a scowl before turning back to Fox. "Fox, we were given this mission by Hokage Sama, we can't just." Vulpaman said, "We are aware of that. However, new information about Gato and his operation have led Hokage Sama to reconsider your team as fitting of this mission, thus sending us here so that we could choose between assisting you or taking the mission as our own." They turned to face Sasuke, who was reprimanding them, when he asked, "And who gives you that right? This is our mission, who gives you the right to take it from us?" "Yeah, you can't just come in here and order us around, and what is with the fake ears and tail? Are you that childish?" laughed Sakura. Fox gave his ears a gentle rub. He went back to his persona and said, "It has been years since someone asked about the ears. The information about them is classified. All I will say is that they are real." "And about ordering you around, didn't you pay attention? We are of the Hokage's hand," explained Renamon. "If we had found you here and ordered you to return, then you would have to do it as we outrank you, Genin. Plus, we were given clearance by Hokage Sama, so you have to respect our decision." Sakura exclaimed, "You can't outrank us," as she stood up. "He looks to be our age and you guys aren't even human. Plus I have never heard of the Hokage's hand." Vulpaman remarked, "Good thing you didn't. The Hokage's hand is the Hokage's ultimate weapon. We take orders only from him and the Fire Daimyo, top missions and tasks only. It is more than natural that you haven't heard of us." Renamon said, "Plus it is more than natural that we outrank you. Our exam, and yes we did an exam just like you did, involved survival, infiltration, elimination, trap preparing, hunting and defeating Junin and Anbu level ninja. With the final part being that we had to defeat Kakashi Hitaki in a battle after we had done all the other tasks. You guys hardly touched him and you were fresh and ready. See the difference, squirts? Laughed Black Renneman. Renneman began, to further illustrate our point. Our mission record, and we have been working for a few weeks, are of 4A rank and 3B rank with 7 unranked Hokage's only missions also done. Judging that you have been Genins for 3 months if I am not mistaken and probably have a record of 35D rank missions or more, which is the required amount of cleared missions to request a C rank. Volpaman finished, saying, you are outranked, outclassed, and out of the mission. Actually our team record is of 17D rank missions, not 35, provided Sai. Fox, meanwhile, was talking to Tazuna. What is the economic balance of the village? Very bad, we hardly have enough to survive. Gato patrols the waters and his mercs make us pay heavy fines just to be here. That is why we need my bridge, to be able to trade without Gato interfering. There is a small error on your plan, Tazuna. What if Gato put his mercs on the bridge too? The bridge would become one more tool of oppression. But by then the situation of our village would be made known to the world. Someone would have done something about him. Don't be so sure. Gato has a strong image as the leader of Gato Industries, putting him up there as one of the richest guys in this nations. Daimyos, cages and others would turn a blind eye to his actions as long as they can get something out of him. And suppose someone actually does it? What if that person is even worse than Gato? But it's our only hope, Tazuna cryly exclaimed. If not that, what can we do? Was this a merchant village? Fox asked himself after giving it some thought. Tazuna answered, and a fisherman village. We made our money out of the fish we caught and the trade with others. Why? Because I might have the solution. I will need to discuss this with Hokage Sama, but if your village allies itself with the leaf, not only would you get protection but also trading routes that are leaf only. Really? What do you guys get with this? More trading, and more possible future missions which both increase our money income, which is good for us, replied Fox. He turned to face Kakashi and said, Hitaki, I request your fastest nin dog to deliver a message to Hokage Sama. I will need to inform him, though. Angry at the constant orders, Kakashi retorted, didn't you just send me back home? I should make haste and leave. After all, this is not my mission anymore. Talking like that could be accounted as insubordination, Hitaki, but I will let it slide. Just summon your fastest nin dog while I write a message to Hokage Sama. With a sigh, Kakashi called forth the dog as Fox composed a brief message report summarizing everything he had discovered. Here he is, his name is, Fox interrupted, saying, not important at the moment. We are in a possible hostile territory, not a friends meeting, so the name of the dog will have to be left to another time. Just deliver this to Hokage Sama and tell him to send a reply as quick as possible. Despite his growl, the dog followed instructions and quickly spread the word. Good. As I was saying before, you have until tomorrow to abandon this house and return to Konoha. I will allow you to sleep here tonight as it is already late. But tomorrow, right in the morning, I want you traveling back to the village. Renneman said, Fox, there is something you should hear. What is it? Fox inquired. According to Black Renneman, this Gakis only have 17D rank missions under their belt. Fox remained motionless, gazing at his 3 vixens as though they were making a joke. When he looked to Team 7 for confirmation, he discovered that Kakashi was reprimanding Sai for too much information. Sai's only response was being truthful to a superior officer. The 3 foxes stood at attention as Fox, a member of a military faction, said, Vixens, in formation. What is the minimum D rank missions required to apply for a C rank mission? He asked Renneman, who was on the left. The minimum required are 35D rank, though as a secondary requirement the team must have more than 1 month of experience working together, replied Renneman. Fox takes a few steps in front of Black Renneman, who was standing in the center, without realizing that he had heard her. Are there any exceptions to this rule? There are. The first is if 2 or more Genins in the mission are part of a different team who has already cleared the necessary missions, if there are at least 2 or more Chunin or above level ninja, or if one of the members of the team is actually the client and has required his team. Once more, Naruto strolled until he reached Volpaman, who is responsible for keeping up the mission record in check and what missions the team takes. The highest ranking officer in the team, which in this case specific would be Kakashi Hitaki as he is an elite Junin. Naruto gave a nod. He turned to face Team 7, who were staring at them in disbelief, and said, as expected from you 3, well done. Hitaki, why is your team in a mission that outranks them? Ma, calm down Fox.san. I don't think it is that bad. replied Kakashi. I didn't question if the situation is bad, I asked why is your team in a mission that outranks them, Fox responded. Well, I thought they were ready. Besides, who really cares about those old laws, huh? Most other Junins with teams have gone to C-rank missions too. I didn't question you about the other teams, I questioned you about your own. Fox responded. And as for who cares, maybe me since I am your superior officer and could report you to the Hokage. But the Hokage is the one that gave us this mission. He was not responsible for your team. He gave you a mission but you could have denied it by showing the team's record and showing their inexperience. The blame for this falls on you, Hitaki. Now see here, no you see here, Fox screamed. Genins are the future of the Shinobi Corps. However, they need to be properly trained, gain experience and become stronger in order to survive out there. You can't just do whatever you wish and hope for the best. I know you have a history with people of your team dying, but keep that curse away from your students by acting as a responsible teacher. After hearing enough, Kakashi leapt in Fox's direction, determined to beat him for his remarks. The four main characters immediately leapt in different directions, with Fox standing in front of Kakashi and easily grabbing his fist. Renamon to his left, Volpamon to his right, and Black Renamon somersaulting over him. Then, while Black Renamon grasped his shoulders and pressed her knee against his spine, Volpamon and Renamon grabbed his arms, forcing Kakashi to kneel in front of Fox and grunt in agony. That, Kakashi, could be seen as an attack to your superior officer, which could land you in jail or dead. Make no mistake, I am not one of your little genins you can command or intimidate to your heart's desire. I outrank you, I give the orders, you obey or quit. Now my girls will let you go and you will not repeat this little joke or I will make sure that you face a death sentence for this, Fox said with a gloomy voice. Kakashi gave a painful grunt. Easy to talk when you are not the one injured. It was your foolish mistake in attacking me that put you in this position, so don't even try to play the fairness card. Now did you understood my orders or not? Yes, what? Fox inquired, attempting to inculcate humility in Kakashi. Yes, sir, Kakashi glared and grunted. Then, as the Hokage's hand took a seat at the table, he was hurled face first into the ground. While it was not as respectful as it should be, I will accept that. And on the note of your injuries, may I inquire as to who put you in such a state? Team 7's genins were in disbelief. Their sensei was one of the strongest people they had ever encountered, despite being a lazy dick. They realized who they were dealing with after being so thoroughly abused by these guys. Kakashi stood up with a grunt. It was Zabuza, the demon of the mist. We met him on the way here. But you don't have to worry about that, Fox-san, Sakura replied. Fox warned, it's Fox. Senpai at least, girl. And why, pray tell, don't I have to worry? Sakura ignored her reprimand and replied, because he was killed by a hunter nin. Fox questioned, how exactly was he killed? His neck was stabbed by needles. Kakashi provided this information. I checked for pulse, he had none. After that, the hunter nin took the body as evidence. Fox screamed, you idiots, you have been played. What? Kakashi questioned, perplexed. Fox said, Zabuza probably is still alive. The use of needles is unconventional for a hunter nin and more of a medic nin due to the possibility of disabling the opponent or even emulate death. And hunter nins get rid of the evidences on the spot, only taking the head as proof. You have all been deceived. A terrified Tazuna questioned, wait, are you sure? That guy almost killed us all? Are you sure he is alive? Very much likely. Add that to the fact that either Gatu is going to hire more guys after this or plan something, then it is possible that I may require backup. Kakashi became alert. In that case, with a tone that indicated the end of the conversation, Fox stated, which I will request to Hokage Sama when I send my next letter tomorrow. Your team is still out of this mission as this proved yet again that your team is not qualified. Now I will define the night shifts, they will be of 2 hours each. Girls come here, Volpamon you take first shift with Renamon taking second and Black Renamon will take the rest of the night. Kakashi perspired, doesn't that overstress Black Renamon? Not that it is really any of your business, but Black Renamon is more nocturnal than her other counterparts. She will be fine. And I prefer a tired Black Renamon watching my back than an unprofessional Junin and team. Now I must ask, Tazuna, how long until the bridge is completed? Tazuna said, hard to say, since the number of workers is diminishing every day, it could take from a week to a few months to finish. Fox's eyebrows went up. Unbeknownst to Fox and his 3 vixens, Kakashi began to perspire. Surely Team 7 has been helping out. After all, part of the mission parameters is to offer aid to the clients in case of projects such as this. Nah, they haven't. With the exception of the pink-haired one, they are always training. She is supposed to guard us, but she just sits on her ass and looks around, Tazuna replied. Hey, training, you say? Fox disregarded Pinky's outburst upon learning this new detail. What kind of training could be so important that they would do it in the middle of possible hostile ground, Tazuna-san? Tazuna said, hostile ground? In a tone that suggested she was being dramatic. Yes, hostile ground. Gatu could send mercs or missing nin at any moment, Tazuna-san. This is not the time to indulge in training sessions. What nid of training were they doing? I am not sure. I have been more preoccupied with the building of the bridge so. Before Vulpaman whispered in his ear, Fox said, understandable. He looked at Sai and replied, I have in good account that you seem honest to our questioning. Please answer the question, what kind of training has your team been doing in hostile ground? As team leader, I think I should answer, Kakashi, be quiet, I want to keep this civil, so I am asking a decent and honest genin, not the untrustworthy Junin who put the life of his students at risk more than once already. Countered Fox and then returned to Sai. So what was the training? According to Sai, we were training in chakra control, sir. Fox gave a nod. I suppose that you were on perfecting water walking then? Or perhaps starting? Depends on how much chakra you have really, but one of this correct. And why is Sakura not partaking in such training? No, we are actually just learning how to do tree walking, sir. Sakura has been able to learn the exercise in less than 5 goes, so Kakashi deemed it was unnecessary for her to continue the exercise. Fox gazed first at Sai and then at the other members of the team. He stared for a few more moments before letting out a sigh. Kakashi, summon another nin dog. I thought you were, summon, the fucking, nin dog. Now, I had enough, Kakashi. This needs to be reported. You obviously don't give a rat's ass about your team. That's true. A mission that outranks them. Sending them without even the fucking tree walking under their belts. And when one of them has the basics of it, instead of helping her master it and advance to the next exercise, you just tell her to guard Tazuna. But now I would understand if you didn't train chakra control until now in order to train their physical prowess, but if that is so, then you knew that they were definitely not ready for a C-rank mission. Your pride could have killed fresh genins. My pride? Your pride? Did you not say that you put them in this mission because all the other Junins have done it too? So instead of being smart and wait for a better time, you risk their lives on a whim. Well, I had enough. For the safety of this team, you will give me another nin dog so I can write an urgent letter to the Hokage to report your criminal ways. Criminal? Yes, criminal. Your students could have died. It's not just another statistic in the board. It's your team. Give me the nin dog now or I will bring you back personally, all of you. Kakashi was taken aback by this development. A member of the Hokage's hand was essentially accusing him of everything that went wrong after he was on a C rank at first, then an A rank, then he fell victim to chakra exhaustion, and finally he chose to train his team. In terms of the legal aspect of the situation, the brat was correct. So he called forth another dog while biting his own lip to keep his nasty response to himself. Fox began writing a message while he was working, if you could call it that, because his pen simply flew through the paper and then the back of it. Here, take it to the Hokage and him only. If this falls in somebody else's hands, you are dead, puppy. The dangerous fox. This threat offended the dog. As if he would allow that to occur. However, he simply obeyed and ran away as quickly as he could when he sensed the tension in the air around him. Alongside the Hokage, Sarutobi let out a sigh. He continued to struggle with paperwork well into the night. This was cruel for a person his age. But he was aware that it was necessary. He was working this late for a reason. He had to finish all the paperwork now or else he would have to work tomorrow as well. He had planned to spend the entire day with his grandson tomorrow. However, he was elderly, and aging has its consequences. His head hurt excessively, his hand hurt from arthritis, and his vision was blurry. He occasionally cursed his aging body for failing to fulfill his desires, but he also understood that that period of time had long since passed and that he needed to concentrate on the present. He got up and peered into the gullible village through the window. It accurately captured the tranquility, quietness, and beauty of silent night. Sarutobi would sacrifice everything for the village because he loved it so much. It was among the reasons he hadn't yet moved from his seat. After all, if he gave up now, Danzo would probably try to obtain the title, and Sarutobi would not permit this picture of beauty to be transformed into a military base. A thought came to him, and he laughed a little. Maybe that is what the council truly needs, to stop and observe Konoha once in a while. With how much time they put into trying to deceive me, I think that they've forgotten just how beautiful and precious this place truly is. Or maybe they never realized it in the first place. That is depressing. He gave a sorrowful smile. Sarutobi turned to sit and said, "No use mopping now. If that old fool Onoki saw me now, he would laugh his ass at how soft I have become. I can't allow that. Abruptly, a dog showed up in his office. The Hokage arched an eyebrow. What is it? What does Kakashi want? The nin dog answered, not Kakashi, some rude kid with a fox mask demanded that I took this to you. The old Hokage took the message, read it, and said, thank you. An alliance with Wave huh? Not a bad idea. They will need a lot of help to get back on their feet, but once they start growing, they might become a powerful economical ally, and that is always good to have. Not only that, but the trade routes that it would provide are too good to just ignore. I trained him well. He then exhaled. Guess it's more paperwork for me to work on. Just as he was about to finish, another dog entered the room, looking utterly worn out, breathing heavily, and sweating profusely as he dragged his now sore body to the Hokage table. Then he collapsed, saying, a message, sir, from the fox. The Hokage opened the second letter, wondering why he had sent two. He was shocked by what he read. Hokage. Sama I, Fox, the first member of the Hokage's hand in a devoted leaf shinobi, hereby notify you that, following considerable consideration, I must return Team 7 and subject their team leader to disciplinary action for his misdeeds against both me and his own team. I also ask for help, which will be discussed later in the letter. In relation to Kakashi's transgressions, the team's record is 17 D-rank missions. According to our village's regulations, a team must complete 35 D-rank missions, with a few exceptions that I think you are aware of. Here, none are used. Second, he made a conscious effort to draw attention to my inquiries about the team and attempted to assign no responsibility, only to attack me when he was unable to defend himself. He continued to treat me disrespectfully even after he was restrained. After that, I found out that he didn't even teach his team how to walk trees before sending them on a C-rank mission, which is what we are in. I wouldn't be as worried if his team had excellent physical conditioning to compensate, but none of them appear to possess such abilities.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.